Race is official on all social channels.
That's it. On behalf of the Isle of Man TT Races, thank you for your attention.
Now sit back, relax, and have a great TT.
I hope you're going to do an outtake reel.
That went well, didn't it?
Race is official on all
Jesus Christ. Hey.
Hello again, a warm welcome back to the Isle of Man, where the weather ultimately put paid to any meaningful action yesterday, but today the conditions are absolutely glorious and we are all set to get our 2024 TT races back underway with the Super Twins. Yeah, we were so close to seeing those beautiful little bikes in action last night, but we were foiled at the last, unfortunately. We have a revised schedule now that hopefully Cam Donald and Tom Birchall is going to allow all the classes out, and we're going to see some race action for the rest of the week.
Yeah, beautiful conditions today, a little bit windy and some rain overnight. We'll have changed the course conditions a little bit, but the guys got out and did a warm-up lap last night just to have a look at the course, and it just wasn't right. You know, we saw Peter Hickman say it's 50-50, and if it's like that, then it's a no. So Gary Thompson made the call. His travelling marshals had a look around the course, and the guys decided to knock it on the head, which is the right decision. But today's a different story. Yeah, we can get some laps done and some trophies won.
We're all revved up again, Cav.
We are. It's going to be a very different day. We're going to see the first Super Twin and Super Stock race. And, of course, they're different races because they're 3 laps. So a little bit different in how the riders and the teams will attack those races. A compulsory pit stop after lap 1 for a splash and dash, refuel, and then back out there for their second 2 and first flying lap. So that'll make things a little bit different as well.
Okay, so 2 solo races to look forward to today then. As I said, we are going to get racing across all of the classes throughout the remainder of the week. As you can see, tomorrow's contingency day. Thursday will be used for the Sidecar TT and the Supersport TT, race 2 in both of those classes, of course, and then effectively on Friday we pick up with the regular schedule, Superstock race 2, Super Twin race 2, and the Senior TT as scheduled for 6 laps at 11:45 on Saturday. So lots of racing to look forward to then. We've had a bit of racing already this week so far, guys, and starting off with an absolute classic in the Superbikes. We've got to go there first, Tom, because I don't think we're going to forget this one for quite a long time.
What didn't we see? Everything happened in that race, from lap records to massive disappointment. We saw Michael absolutely dominant in the first few laps, built up a 20 odd second lead against some of the best competition he's ever faced. So it shows his determination. But went in for a pit stop. He had trouble with his visor, which is just a 1 in a million chance. Davey had trouble starting his bike again, and all hell broke loose. Then we had another leader 2 or 3 times, and then we saw the final result was Peter taking the win. But such a shame for Michael. He really wanted that 27th win, and Davey was in line for his win after Michael went out, but it just wasn't to be. You just never know what's going to happen next.
The sight of Michael at the side of the road, just out here, not far from where we're sat now, Cam, in the studio, is one of those iconic images. I think that it's going to be replayed for years to come, unfortunately.
Look at it here. I mean, you can't do the visor without taking the helmet off. You can't take your helmet off without taking your gloves off. Mid race, your hands are hot, they're sweaty. those gloves aren't easy to get back on, and for him to be able to do that so quickly, not only get back out on the bike, but get back out on the bike, put it all behind him, and then go on to set a new Superbike TT course record on the last lap to boot. Like, he is a man on a mission, and he's certainly going to be fired up moving on from here.
Yeah, it was extra disappointing for him because, of course, it was teed up potentially to be his 27th win, Tom, after that brilliant performance in the Supersport on Saturday. An emotional win for him and his whole family, of course.
Yeah, I've never seen the guy react like that before. You know, he's been carrying that. You know, people said, oh, he's been carrying it for a year, that anticipation, but it's longer than that for him. You know, you could see the release in tension. And who would bet against Michael Dunlop on a Yamaha on a beautiful day like that? You know, he struggled through qualifying week, chasing the Triumph setup, decided it wasn't for him, went with the Yamaha, and he was just so at home on it. And you can see how relieved the guy is. You know, there were no big burnout, no big slaps on the bike. It was just a relief and an absolute joy to watch, you know, because it's so fitting that the Dunlop dynasty carries on, and he matched his great uncle Joey on the 26 wins, but for sure he's got a hunger for it now, and he wants that 27th, I'm sure.
And many more beyond. Why not?
Absolutely, and I think what happened in the Superbike race just confirms how tough it is to get those TT wins. I think everyone thought the form he was on, it would almost be a foregone conclusion, but no, the TT, it's always got a way of throwing a spanner in the works.
It's got a way of throwing up these family dynasties as well, hasn't it? And we saw that again in the sidecars with the Crow brothers coming through and emulating the dad, and another emotional moment for the family.
Yeah, amazing scenes, amazing, and really fitting that them guys got to emulate what the dad did. And you know, we've seen them growing up in the paddock, young boys, desperate to get up there, and they're so committed and so driven. I mean, we can see there the dad Nick, 5 times TT winner, and now the Crow brothers a 1-time TT winner. Amazing scenes, and that's just what it takes to get here. Complete dedication, and they've had that all their lives, and it was clear to see on their race day that the performance was on another level. I don't think we've seen that kind of maturity from them boys before.
No, I think almost equaling their personal best from a standing start, took complete control of that race. You do get the feeling it's not going to be their last TT victory.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can make it back to back in their second race tomorrow. They've had an extra day as well, actually, lads, to kind of, I suppose, process all of that. And then there's other riders out there, like your brother Ben, who probably needed that extra day, and Kev, his passenger, just to get physically and mentally back around after their flip. Definitely.
You know, having that crash in qualifying was certainly not in the plan, but they're driven, they're determined, they've been working so hard. The guys at Feraldo Racing have got the bodywork back together and painted for them, and it's like nothing's ever happened. It is absolutely brand new. The guys got out on circuit yesterday. Conditions weren't ideal, but the base is that, you know, Kev's foot's good enough, Ben's head's good enough, and the guys are working back together. And hey, they're determined. You know, we saw 118.2 from them on Wednesday night in qualifying, and they weren't done at that. They were just progressing. So let's see what they can do come race day.
Yeah, well, if they can do those lap times again, they'll be challenging in race 2, that's for sure. Let's just confirm those results for the sidecars from race 1. It was Ryan and Callum Crowe for the first time ever. The Manxmen taking that win ahead of Pete Founds and Jevon Walmsley. Then Alan Founds and Rhys Gibbons completing the podium. Another family affair there in second and third place ahead of Blackstock and Rosny, who had a great ride to fourth. And Ellis and Clement, probably the other standout performance from the first race, Cam.
Yeah, amazing effort by that pairing. You know, they've been world and British champions, so their pedigree is as good as it gets, if you like. But to watch their progress during the week with what we believe is quite a standard engine, they've come here to focus on improving around the course and really focusing on just how they're riding, not just the machine, because we know how tolling this place is on sidecar engines. They are highly modified and they get worked very hard, but these guys are not so much about the performance, they're just about their effort, applying themselves to the course, and every single time they've gone out, they've gone faster. Yeah. So they're definitely a hot pairing for the future that we expect to see just continually chip their way and climb up that leaderboard.
Mm-hmm. Really professional approach from them guys, you know. Didn't get out the box too soon. They've just crept up there, and we interviewed them the other day for the TT roundup, and they're just so at home here now. You know, they're really happy with the course. They love the idea of the TT and the way it all works, and they'll be back, and I'm sure they'll be back with higher performance machinery too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how fast they can go with that standard engine on it in race 2 tomorrow. That'll be one of the stories to look out for in the sidecars. Let's move on to the solo classes then, and it has been a really interesting week so far. As we said, pace-wise dominated by Michael Dunlop. Confirmation of that victory in the Supersports. Davy Todd was second. He looked a little bit disappointed with that as well, which kind of told its own story.
Yeah, absolutely. Davy was super confident on that Power Toolmate Ducati. They went the wrong way in qualifying with the setup, but then found a really good setting for him, and he came into the race thinking, you know, maybe this is my time to shine. I can chase a race win. But he was up against Michael Dunlop, a determined Michael Dunlop. You know, so it just shows again how well Michael was riding. We saw an aggressive Dean Harrison from the word go. You know, he knew he had to put some time into the other guys if he was going to keep that podium. Yeah. And then a notable one, James Hine.
Yeah, James Hine with a P5. That was brilliant. You know, a young lad with a big future. So yeah, it's great to see these young riders chipping in, and it's usually the super sport and the smaller bike classes where we will start to notice them coming through.
Yeah, James has had some good laps in practice as well on the big bikes, hasn't he, as well? So looking forward to seeing what he can do in the super stocks later on, and in the super twins, of course, as well. But here's what happened in the superbikes. Confirmation of that victory for Peter Hickman. He always talks about winning the race at the slowest pace possible, and I guess that's what he had to do in the end on Sunday, taking the win from Davy Todd, who, as Tom said, had some issues on his pit lane exit. Otherwise, he would have won the race. Dean Harrison on the podium in third, and Michael Dunlop, despite that long stop, ended up fourth overall, ahead of James Hillier, John McGuinness, Jamie Coward, Mike Brown, Michael Rutter, and Brian McCormack. Top 10 finish for Big Mac, which is great to see. And Jamie Coward as well, and Mike Brown, actually. Two lads that we've seen good things from in the Super Twins already up to now. We've seen podiums from them both, and also transferring that form to the big bikes now.
Yeah, they are. And it takes longer to find your feet on those big bikes. They're a heck of a handful around this place. So they're two riders that are slowly etching their way forward on the big bikes. Mike Brown, have to mention, he's on Aprilia this year. First time we've seen an Aprilia around the course for a while, so he's doing brilliantly on that. But yeah, what a race of attrition too. That first Superbike race every year always seems to have a high rate of attrition, and none more so than this year. So many of top teams and riders dropping out with mechanical issues,
including notably both of the Milenko by Paget's riders, Ian Hutchinson and Connor Cummins.
Yeah. Completely unheard of, really, for Clive and his crew. You know, they're so good with preparation, and their results around this place speak for themselves. You know, they've done everything from Grand Prix racing to World Championship racing, and you know, a few years ago we saw Hutchie with 5 wins in a week on the Paget's bikes.
Yeah, and you really feel for both these riders too, as you do for all the competitors. But you know, Hutchie recovering from it, or coming back from missing last year due to a stroke, not to mention all the injuries he's had in previous years. So to come back from that, he needs that time on the bike, he needs the finishes, and so does Connor. I mean, last year Connor was really unwell. He did amazing to actually still ride the bike, but he was in hospital on a drip trying to recover from a serious virus mid-TT race week. So both those riders could do with a bit of luck to get some finishes. You'll see Connor here coming into the pit stop where he pulled out with a mechanical issue. Basically just said the bike didn't feel right, and he's experienced enough to know when things aren't right. You've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them around this place, and he certainly does. But he's a rider coming into this TT that I really had high hopes for, because last year to see him stick it on the podium in the Superstock race after being in hospital in a drip, I mean, the man is a rider of very few words, but boy, he is seriously fast, and still one of the fastest ever competitors around here. So we know if things go right, you know, Connor can stick it on the box.
Absolutely. Look back to 2022 senior race. You know, it was really in form and got a brilliant third place. So if we could have just seen that progression through, we could see different results from Connor. But you know, good luck to the lads, and hope the boys have got the bikes right again.
Okay, let's hope so, because it is a really important Superstock race for both Ian Hutchinson and Connor Cummins later on this afternoon. First up, though, we turn our attention to the Super Twins. Before we do that, let's have a little refresher of what happened in race 1 last year.
Like a missile is Michael Dunlop. Hickman this year is on a Yamaha. Last year, and a big head shake there. So Brown is in P3 at the minute. Then Dunlop leads Coward by 12.9. Mike Brown, steady on now, 1.5 back. So he's on the podium at the minute. That would be a brilliant result. Going to try and find a way past Herbertson. There is Herbertson, so not first on the road now. Coward makes the pass.
Yeah, he's going very well. He cannot afford to be held up at any stage. He's riding in podium contention at the moment, Jamie.
Here is Dunlop from the heli on an absolute mission. He's just riding this bike beautifully. Herbertson, see past Herbertson in almost identical spot, but with that same pace again. That was from Balaguer, you were saying, was it? He must have epic exit speed through that whole section.
Yeah, and look at the speed he's carried down through Greta Castle, Force lead.
Here we are then with the leaderboard. Dunlop by 19.4, but Mike Brown looking just half a second behind him. Where does he go? Oh, and he's in, so Mike Brown's got it. He moves into P2. He gets Jamie Coward by 0.2 of a second. Michael Dunlop, meanwhile, coming down to the start-finish line, and he's going to take his 24th TT win.
That was a great race, won last year, wasn't it? It's a class that, I mean, since its introduction in 2012, it's gone from strength to strength really now, and everybody's excited to see what kind of bikes and exotica we see out there on the grid, and also a great opportunity for certain riders to get that first podium or that first win, because it's so attritional as well, Cam.
Absolutely, and it's never been better. This year we've got the Patton, which has sort of been the bike of choice. Kawasaki, we've got Aprilia, and now we've got Yamaha coming on board as well. But we've got to remember these bikes, from how they come out of the showroom floor, usually about the 60, maybe maximum 70 horsepower. In race trim here, they're out to around 100 horsepower. So they're more highly strung than a super sport or super bike. Not to mention, because they are less power, they're riding them harder, and they've got the throttle wide open even more, and that's why I think, especially in race 2 last year, we saw an enormous rate of attrition with many dropouts. So that's always something that seems to come into play, and it's going to be interesting this year with some of those riders swapping brands too. You know, like Mike Brown taking his a sensational first podium last year with P2 in this race 1. He was on a Patton last year. He's on a Aprilia this year, which is a different machine, and looking so far, it's about 5 mile an hour slower through the speed traps than last year. So he's got a bit of a fight on his hands, but yeah, lots changing up in the class.
Yeah, we've seen some of the TT's top names take the first win in this class. It's a real proving ground. So we've seen James Illy took his first win, Dean Harrison first win, and then first podiums from Mike Brown, from Jamie Coward. And then you look a bit further back, you've got sort of guys like Joe Yeardsley. He'll be chasing the top 10 this time, you know, 116.9 at the Manx Grand Prix 2023. It's a real great stepping stone and a chance for people to go, I'm here, you know, I can get a TT podium. So it really brings some great racing out.
All right, well, let's have a look at who's shown the cards so far in qualifying then. As Cam said, this is the opportunity for the guys to really ride these machines hard, and nobody rides harder than Michael Dunlop. Of course, he's won 3 races in this class, but he's retired from 2 of the last 3 as well, so you never quite know what's going to happen with Michael and with that bike in this class. Pete Hickman on the Yamaha has gone second fastest. Tom talking about Jamie Coward there. He's on the Kawasaki this year, 3rd fastest overall. And other names to look out for: Dom Herbertson, Mike Brown, of course, looking for that first win potentially. Rob Hodson as well showing up in qualifying. And it's been a decent week so far for Paul Jordan on the various different bikes. He's had his first podium in this class as well, as has Pierre-Yves Bian. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of riders who could be in the mix for this today.
There is, and another thing that it's easy to overlook, Supertwin, during qualifying and practice, these bikes tend to get put last in order of importance to a point. Not that they are, but it's just teams tend to focus more on setting up the super bike, and then it sort of goes down to super stock, maybe super sport. So the Super Twins, if the riders have done less laps on any machine, it's going to be these. So sometimes qualifying doesn't really tell the story, and that's why this race is going to be so important. We're really going to find out who has been able to bring their A game.
Just looking around some of the bikes, we've seen some real progression. The Swan Yamaha from Hickman, you know, last year it wasn't deemed as a proven race winner. He found a race win in race 2, but then he's been working hard and progressing that bike. We saw brilliant results at the Northwest 200 on that bike, you know, 2 wins there. You wouldn't have expected it. So he's sneaking up there, and he's going to be the man to take it to Dunlop today.
Yeah, it's a different looking bike to what it was last year as well, that R7 Cam.
Yeah, hugely developed, not just in engine performance, but aero, with the fairing shape and design. And I think Pete's had a chance to get comfortable on the machine, and you can tell every time he gets off it, look, he's always smiling, but he's really enjoying that little bike. And he keeps saying, you know, and I'm not a little bike rider, I'm a big bike rider, but his results beg to differ.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this is an opportunity for these guys to get TT podiums and TT wins, and at the end of the day, when you add them up, like we are doing for Michael at the minute, they count just as much as everything else, don't they? So it's a great opportunity. You know, for someone like Jamie Coward, Tom, he wants to be a big bike rider, of course he does, but today is a wonderful opportunity for him to make a little bit of history for himself.
Absolutely, yeah, and they're working hard with the KTS Kawasaki also. I mean, it's got the pattern bodywork on, but there's a good reason for that. You know, they've looked into, look at the front mudguard there, they've looked into aero, and they know they need a few extra mile an hour out of it. And Jamie's a real challenger in this class. You know, it's like we said, it's one of them, right, I'm here now, let me show you what I can do. And, you know, they might not have the budget like the big factory guys do, but they don't, you know, lack in effort or trying to get these podiums and wins. So, you know, let's see what we can do. It's going to be good.
Yeah, like you said, it's really interesting to see what everybody's bringing to the party in this. It's fair to say it is the entry-level solo class, but these machines get trickier every single year. There's more and more exotica out there. Steve Plater has been to have a closer look at some of the sexiest kit in the Supertwin class for 2024.
The Supertwin class has quite a few different manufacturers supporting it, with mainly Kawasaki, Pattern, the Yamaha with the R7.
Throttle bodies and ECU than anything else. The 660 is probably the closest to a race bike straight out of the box, and I would say money-wise it's probably the cheapest for the class.
But you told me earlier roughly an £18,000 build, as opposed to the Yamaha would be around £30,000. Now, with these bikes, I've seen, you know, in various sessions earlier this week, some run treaded tyres and some run slicks.
Our choice is treaded tyres because less weight in the tyres, but also if you hit iffy conditions, you still have a bit of tread on the tyre, something like that there, but it's more about the weight issue in the tyres.
Every class has to have enough fuel for 2 laps around a TT course. You know, you've got Superbike with 24-litre tanks, Supersport with 22-litre tanks. What are these on the Supertwin?
20 litres is the tank capacity you can get away with on the Supertwin, but realistically to do the 2 laps you need 15 litres, 16 litres, so you're capable of doing it on the standard tank, but most people try to get near the limit where they have extra fuel in before the start of the race and waste less time in the pits.
Last question. There's a lot of buttons on the clip-ons here. There seems to be an awful lot to be able to have in your mind. I believe you got a little story there.
And all season I had been starting a bike for Mike and just handing it to him. So at the Northwest in the first race, I left him purposely to go and do the pit board for him, and everybody walked off and left him, and he looked down and he went, I don't even know how to start it because there's that many buttons. And he swapped maps, lost the quick shifter, lost the auto blipper. My fault, but at the end of the day, they still got a podium, so we're happy enough.
Thanks, Trevor.
Well, that bodes well, doesn't it? As long as he knows which button to press today, Mike Brown is going to be a contender, I'm sure, in this one. Let's get up to the commentary box now and get the thoughts from Mark Miller, James Whittam and Steve Day. Morning, chaps.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I hope you guys are well. We're certainly ready. We were ready yesterday, and we're so delighted that we're going to get some action out on the roads today, starting off with the Supertwins. In terms of the weather conditions out there, guys have been out for a little solo practice lap. We're hearing reports, James, that even though it's not rained since yesterday, there are a couple of damp patches out there for the riders to be careful of. And also, let's be honest, the wind is up a bit.
Yeah, that's it's not ideal conditions. Little damp patches, Braddon, and where you'd expect Ramsey Hairpin, a little bit where we've seen it before at Glen Helen. that won't be as big an issue, I don't think, because the riders are going to know it's there. I think the wind could well be an issue. Remember, these are the smallest and lowest powered bikes. However, they are still 150 kilos in, not the really light bikes that the old lightweights used to be. So wind will be an issue, I think.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of riders coming back from that warm-up lap that said that there's wet patches all over the track.
Right.
And we've seen in the past where Michael Dunlop has really shown his experience racing around such dodgy things in Northern Ireland. So I think he's got a pretty good chance here. But and we know he's got a fast bike, but he's already had a mechanical failure in qualifying. So.
Yeah, they are quite a high attrition rate here in this class, as the guys were mentioning in the studio.
Exactly. These bikes typically start off as a road-based bike, or certainly road-based engine, with about 65, 70 brake horsepower. They get them up to over 100. That's a massive increase in power, and that means a massive decrease in reliability. And not only that, they flat out for a lot more of the lap, and these things do tend to be the most fragile of the classes because of that.
As the guys were mentioning back in the studio, Mark, as well, I mean, it will be all eyes on Michael Dunlop to see if he can make it the magic number 27. Peter Hickman looked great on that Swan Yamaha back at the Northwest 200, as Tom alluded to a moment ago. Beyond those guys, who do you think we can be looking out for?
So, it's going to be a tight race. It's wide open for the podium. I would tip Dom Herbertson on that third place bike from the Northwest 200. His star is rising. He's riding for John Burroughs, and he's been really consistently fast. He had a little tip over switch failure in the Superbike race while he was running strong, but he's going to have to wrangle that podium away from the likes of Mike Brown, Jamie Coward, and many others. And there's no Dean Harrison in this one too, and it's only Davey Todd's second ever Supertwins race. So it really is wide open, and I think it's going to be a barn burner for that. The slots on this podium.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the likes of Coward, you look at the likes of Herbertson, Mike Brown, we have to throw Davey Todd into that equation. It's his first Super Twin race since 2019, but that Defabet Kawasaki is a great bike.
Listen, the bike will be really good, and David will really enjoy riding it. A little bit of a different technique. You've got to carry a lot more corner speed because you're not going to jump out the corners like the bigger powered bikes do. And Cam was dead right. If you're going to neglect any class through qualifying, it's the bigger bikes take more setting up. So it tends to be the Super Twins where the riders do a couple of laps, get it qualified.
It's still a win, though. It's still a win.
Yeah, and it's still a TT win. You're right. But so expect these more experienced riders who go well on the big bikes to actually get quicker as the race goes on.
I think Cam made a brilliant point just a moment ago as well, in terms of some riders don't necessarily prioritise their Super Twin bike. I mean, there's a couple of riders out there who I've looked back, have literally done one lap all week.
Yeah.
On there, two laps.
Two to qualify.
Two laps, but
to qualify and then park it up.
But there's a couple of people that were actually genuinely concerned about the setup of their bike because they felt, we're not quite there yet. So
a little bit easier to set up, though. Yeah, they haven't got the immense amount of power that the big bikes have, so that they are a lot easier to set up.
Yeah, get the feeling this could be one of the most open Super Twin races we've had for a year or two, guys. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Some great points there, and certainly the qualifying practice is not a really accurate form guide. Every little thing is going to make a difference, and I tell you what, just going back to that VT with Steve and Trevor from beforehand, Cam, the fact that they talk about treading the tyres just to take weight out of the tyres just highlights that, really. I mean, I don't know how much weight they're saving by doing that, but it just goes to show the finest margins that they're working with these bikes on the absolute limit.
Yeah, also sometimes that treaded tyre can build temperature a little bit quicker because the tyre carcass moves, as maybe that's part of the strategy as well, and maybe that come into play with most likely patchy conditions out there. Would you be better off with a slight tread on your tyre? This really will favour the brave on lap one. I always say it, no warm-up lap, no sighting lap when they leave, and very few of these riders, most of them are camping in the paddocks, they won't have been out in the car around the course either. Can you imagine, as if it's not daunting enough as it is, but heading out through these sections completely blind? Yep, she's going to be tough.
Yeah. A guy like Mike Brown has been brought up on the Irish road racing scene like you were, and they do run in sort of any sort of condition, so he won't be as nervous as some of the guys when he sees a damp patch under the tree. Same as Michael, it will be full hole, he will give it 100%.
Yeah, and he'll have those treaded tyres as well to just give him that little bit of extra confidence. As Whit said there, Davey Todd obviously hasn't had much time on the bike, but the bike will be solid. Fingers crossed. We never know. And Davey's riding better than he's ever ridden around this course.
Yeah, the Daffabet boys put a mega little bike together. they were struggling a little bit with top speed and horsepower, so they have run a new engine in last night, just looking for that extra bit of performance. So we might have something more from Davey. Like you said, he's absolutely peaking and he's on point with what he's doing. So we normally see Davey get on a bike and go fast on it, so probably will be no different today.
Yeah. All right, let's get out onto the start line then, because the riders are lining up ready to go, and so are Steve Plater and Rick Farragher, chaps.
Well, Matt, those flags tell their own story, don't they? It's bright, but it is very breezy down here at the start line, and let's be honest, we're not even that high up. When you get onto the mountain, well in excess of 1,000 feet above sea level, you really will need to batten down the hatches today. So if you're a TT fan and you've gone up there today to watch the action, fair play to you. There's the Supertwin trophy. There's Steve Plater. And Steve, when the conditions are changing day to day and the race schedule is changing day to day, is it tricky for a rider to adjust to that?
The experienced ones will cope with it, of course, but there's so many different things that go into it for them on race morning in preparation with, you know, helmets, visors, so many things going through their mind. You know, it's also difficult to jump straight from the Superbike to the Supertwin. It's completely different braking areas, different markers. So, yeah, it can be difficult, but most of them have the warm-up, obviously, to contend with, and they can get out if they wish. Probably the biggest thing is the difference in the conditions with the wind, especially in the Supertwin class, because they're all a little bit nervous. They're going to get them under-geared.
Yeah, we'll be blowing a gale up there today, especially. One thing people have noticed reading the programme with regards to the Supertwin is a compulsory pit stop after lap 1. Why is that?
One of the main reasons is just to make sure if you go to lap 2, then it's a little bit of an unknown how much fuel you put in to finish the race. And probably the most dangerous thing that can happen is we have race bikes that are running out of fuel with people behind them around the TT course. So that's the main reason. It keeps it easier for us in pit lane as well to report on.
We saw plenty of drama there, of course, last time you and I were stood here, Steve. Let's talk about Michael Dunlop then very quickly. We could see history today. He enters this race probably as the favourite. He's done very, very well in this in recent years. He's also had to retire a couple of times as well in this class. What are you expecting from Michael today?
I think he'll come out all guns blazing. You know, it's probably one of his best classes. You know, he's always fast, but Hickey's going to push him on the Swan Yamaha. He really is. He's very strong. He was strong at the Northwest there. It was very fast. However, the boys have told me he's very close on fuel consumption.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, the bikes make their way to the grid. Atmosphere is building. More from Steve and I in just a moment, but for now we'll hand back to the studio.
Oh, thanks, chaps. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Of course, Hickey that much bigger as well than pretty much everybody in the top 10. Let's be honest. So fuel consumption a big factor for him, and the pit stop as well, Cam.
Yeah, interesting what Steve was mentioning there about the consumption. When we had a look at Mike Brown's Aprilia, it was interesting. They were saying it could make 2 laps on a standard tank, which is about 16 litres, but you could see that tank had been highly modified to take 20 plus litres. Now, what's one of the reasons for that? When you come in for that splash and dash at the end of lap 1, if you've got that extra fuel capacity, you don't need to put as much fuel into the bike. It takes about 2 seconds per litre from the gravity-fed refuelers to top the bike up. That can be a huge piece of strategy to work for you. If you can put in a couple of less litres and save a handful of seconds, we know how hard these riders have to push to make up a mere 1 second on course, and you can make it up in a pit stop.
Absolutely. And also the entry to the pit stop is so important for the rider to brake as late as he can and slow the bike down. You know, 1, he doesn't want to speed in pit lane, but 2, you can easily lose time by, you know, not pushing into the pit lane entry line there. Then when you're setting off again, you've got to hit that pit lane limiter. You've got to make sure everything's right. So seconds can easily disappear on you, and that is the winning or losing margin in this class.
One other thing about the pit stop is obviously the visor swap.
Yep.
Cam. It will be interesting to see if he does now. Obviously, in a Superbike race, it's a 6-lapper, 2 pit stops. Will they still do the visor change after just the 1 lap, or will they have enough tear-offs?
Great question, because I actually asked Arrow on the way through here what their plan was, and they said most riders won't change a visor. Being 3 laps, they'll just put an extra tear off on and they'll probably be able to get away with that. So yeah, that's a great one, because it was what I was wondering about walking into the course this morning. So it'll be interesting to see how many maybe played a bit safer with just the extra tear off, or do the visor, or how many might be motivated now to do the Dane Harrison technique and actually change the helmet instead.
Yeah, or even just practice that visor change when there's a little bit less pressure on than there will be later in the week in the stock race and the senior, of course, as well. Fascinating stuff. Lots to look forward to then in this Super Twin race. We're almost ready to go. Steve is out on the grid with Jamie Coward.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I'm just stood with Jamie. Jamie, now this is I would say one of your favourite classes, mate, you know, and I can see the boys there who just got the breather clamped up on the tank. Is that to get the last little bit of fuel in there?
Yeah, we just, obviously the tanks are so full, you know yourself, it's a bit of expansion for the heat or whatever, so they got to keep the fuel cap off just to make sure we got every little last drop in there so we don't run out. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's feel quite relaxed and calm, and conditions are good, so we'll just get out there and go like clappers and see where we are.
Good lad. Good luck, buddy. Back to you guys.
I love it. Get out there and go like clappers. Good Yorkshireism there. I think we'd all be really happy to see Jamie Coward get a win today, won't we? As you know, neutrals.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant team, and he's just one of them salt of the earth guys. You know, he's at TT because he loves it, not because he's getting a big wage packet or anything like that. He's got the hunger, he's got the drive, he's 2 podiums now. Surely he's got his eye on the top step, and this is probably one of his better chances this race week.
One of the riders out there that stayed with the same machine for many years in that Super Twins class as well, which builds some consistency and can mean a lot. You need to know your machine inside out here.
All right, another man who got his first podium in this class is Paul Jordan. Let's get his thoughts now. He's had a really good week on the big bike in terms of pace. He's with Rick.
Paul, how are you feeling?
Yeah, not bad. Quite relaxed, to be honest, which is quite strange, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck in, you know, obviously setting off number 1 again, so hopefully we can try and stay there for as long as possible.
Setting off number 1 as well, these conditions you're expecting to be pretty breezy once you get up the mountain?
Yeah, we didn't do the warm-up lap there, so I'm sort of not really in the back foot, but I've got a few things off the boys that was out there, so I sort of have an idea where's not great as such, so yeah, if we get the first lap and get in the pits and see where we are, and then just try and start doing a bit of work then, you know.
3 laps I think you got in qualifying on the Super Twin. How did it go?
Yeah, the wee bike's up. You know, the bike's working well. You know, it'd be nice to get this race out of the way, and then, you know, we didn't get as much qualifying as we wanted as such, so if we can get this first one out of the way and try and build for the second one, but, you know, we're still hoping for a really good result here, you know, it's not going to be from lack of trying.
Well, best luck today.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, it was a great moment a couple of years ago when PJ had his first podium in the Super Twin class, stood up there alongside his big pal as well, Lee Johnston. Goes off number 1 as well, so a clear road for Paul. It brings its own challenges, of course, as well.
Absolutely, being first on road. Yeah, it does, and none more so when the conditions are more challenging than they could be. There's going to probably be a few little damp patches around, but he's mature enough to know how to handle it. Interesting, he's on the Yamaha, the Rev to Race team, new team this year, and in this class he's actually teammates with Josh Brooks. So we're used to seeing Josh on the BMWs with Pete, but on a different team for that class. And of course, Josh had his first podium in race 2 of this class last year. Again, we come back to this as a class that'll often see the riders start to come through.
Yeah, interesting for Paul, because going off number 1 and then Jamie Coward's setting off number 2 behind him. So if Jamie catches him on the road, he could, you know, get a tow and learn something. But it also throws a bit of a curveball for Jamie, because if Paul then drops in behind him, he's going to slow him down on them long climbs and pull him back in the slipstream. So it's difficult for one rider, but good for another.
Okay, there'll be a fair amount of strategies, I'm sure, what with this pit stop to consider as well, and fuel allowance and everything else. Let's get the thoughts of some of the other guys down there on the grid. Grace Webb is out there for us. Grace.
Yeah, it was great to hear from Jamie Coward and Paul Jordan there. I've come a bit further down the grid here to number 16, Joe Yeardsley, who is a TT newcomer for this year, looking to be going really strong in qualifying this week. So we'll just try and grab a quick word with Joe. You look to be having a great week here, Joe. How's TT24 going for you?
Yeah, it's been going really well. It's obviously, you know, we've missed a few sessions and with the weather disruptions, but I think the organisers have done a great job in delaying things and making it safe for everyone. But no, to be setting off 3 bikes behind Peter Hickman in my first ever Supertwin TT is an amazing experience, and just good luck to all the competitors today, and I hope everyone comes back safe.
Thanks so much for that, Joe. Good luck.
No problem, thank you.
Definitely one to watch out for there. The Senior Manx Grand Prix winner for last year, Joe Yeardsley. As we move along the grid, we come to bike number 14, and Mike Brown is actually right here next to us. Mike, you look to be going really strong in this class last year. How's the race looking for you now you're on an Aprilia?
Pretty good again this year. Had a few problems during the week, but I think we have it sorted for the race, so no, it's looking good.
Do you still think you can maybe challenge for the podium like you were last year?
I don't really know, to be honest. Last year with all the breakdowns and everything, that's kind of that's what I'm relying on, really. That, you know, a few people might break down. You just don't know in this race. So our pace isn't far away off a podium. So if we're near enough to it, and some lads maybe break down, you mightn't be far away.
It's going to be exciting to watch. Good luck for it, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. A podium contender there, so it'll be really interesting to see how he gets on the Aprilia. Further up, number 12, Stefano Bonetti, an Italian rider. He's had 4 top 10 finishes in this race, so another one to look out for. And next to him, number 10, Peter Hickman on that colourful Swan Racing bike. You're not going to miss that on the grid. And as it goes around the mountain course, we'll just see if we can get a quick word with Hickey before he goes out. Hickey, we're definitely going to spot you out on the mountain course on these new colours, but it looks to be a really impressive bike. It's proven to be quick at the Northwest 200. How's it looking for the TT?
We're about to find out, aren't we? Yes, I mean, so far so good. We don't really know where we're going to end up, to be quite honest. We're still not the fastest bike. It's fast, but it's not the fastest. Let's wait and see. You know, she handles really good. That's one of the good things about this bike. So hopefully, whatever we do lose in the straight line, we can make up through corners. But we'll soon find out, and looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Good luck, Hickey.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely be watching out for all of these riders. There's so many that are going to be contending for the podium. We'll stay down here and watch the start from the grid, but for now, up to the commentary box.
Yes, thanks very much, Grace. It's fantastic here to get some racing underway. We are moments away then from the start of the Metzeler Supertwin TT Race 1 after a cancelled day yesterday. The fans are packed in, ready to watch this. A couple of damp patches on the course to watch out for. The first of those actually coming quite early on, just as you exit Quarterbridge, the entry into Braddon Bridge, the exit of Braddon Bridge as well, James, so they are going to have to just tiptoe a little through there.
Yes, yeah, first men through are going to have to be a little bit more careful. Paul Jordan is designated road sweeper, that's what they used to call him, because a few more, there's more chance of hitting some wildlife, birds, etc. I actually don't think flies are going to be a massive problem today. The guys in the studio talking about helmet changes, visor changes and tear-offs, etc. I don't think it's going to be a big problem because it's a lot breezier and quite cold.
So leading into this Supertwin race, Michael Dunlop was the fastest in qualifying with a 121.822 as they set off for 3 laps around the mountain course. We'll look at all of the sectors there. Glen Helen, Ballath, Ramsey, Bungalow, Cronknamona, 113.1 miles. That's how long the race is. We saw, of course, a 6-lapper in the Superbikes here on Sunday, separated by 10 seconds, the top 3 were. And, of course, such a great record for Peter Hickman and Michael Dunlop in general in the solos, but particularly in this class. They are the dominant force. 28 of the last 29 solo races have been won by either Peter Hickman, Michael Dunlop or Dean Harrison. Dean Harrison's not out there in this one. 26 of those 29 have been won by those two. Will it be a different story today? Will we be making history today? Michael Dunlop certainly enters this one as the firm favourite, James. He could stand alone in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, he could take his 27th TT win. That'll take him one in front of his uncle Joey. whose record has stood for years and years. It's kind of fitting that if anybody is going to break that record, it is his family. It seems to work, and you wouldn't bet against him. I think it's going to be Hickey and Michael Dunlop at the front, but this is in a lot of ways one of the widest open races because a lot of these riders haven't spent that much time on these bikes.
It is an unknown. 3 laps coming up in Metzeler Supertwin TT Race 1. A mandatory pit stop at the end of lap 1, where we'll cross down to Steve Plater and find out who does the business down in pit lane. Of course, the last time we dropped down to pit lane, all sorts of drama kicked off in the Superbike race.
It changed the whole race, the whole face of the race. It was an exciting one.
Just goes to show that races can be won and lost in the pit lane, as we're getting ready then for action here. Leading them off the line, 3rd in this class in 2022, the Northern Irish rider on the Rev to Race YFT Logistics Yamaha, Paul Jordan, awaits for the tap on the shoulder that will mean he can set off down Bray Hill to kick us off for this match. Tap man is Jamie Coward. 2 podiums in this class so far for the KTS Racing rider. Can he finally get himself that first race win? Pierre-Yves Bian is next up, the Frenchman. 2nd here in race 2 in 2023. Do not discount the Frenchman on the VAS engine, Patton. He's off at number 3. Next off is Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter, 8th in qualifying. His daughters Juliet and Cecilia flew in here yesterday. A big day for him, as there's a Rutter legacy lap going on later on. Next off as well is number 5. We've got Rob Hodson and now Michael Dunlop. Michael Dunlop then, is he going to make it? 27 TT wins.
Michael Dunlop on the pattern. He loves this little bike, just like his Uncle Joey that he's trying to beat his all-time record. Look, rides every single class.
Josh Brooks is next off, number 7. He wasn't too sure about the handling of it on the first outing, but maybe they've sorted things out. And what about Davey Todd out there on the Dapperbet Kawasaki? He's having some week so far. 2 races, 2 second places. Next out is Dom Herbertson. Now, I think it's one to look out for here today.
Yeah, if he's going to do well in any class and he's had a good week, this is Dom's class, the twins.
And it's beautiful to see the swan colours on a bike as well. The Yamaha R7 of Peter Hickman away now, number 10. Is he going to make it 15 TT victories here over the next 3 laps?
Yep, a little bit of a wait now, 20 seconds, because nobody goes off at 11. 12 will be Stefano Bernetti, the Italian kind of journeyman, but this is his class as well if he's got to be one.
Yeah, he's been brilliant in the lightweight classes over his career. 4th place twice for the Italian. Can he make a step up onto the podium? As now Mike Brown heads off then on the in competition. He was eager to go then, wasn't he? The Irishman, he speaks so well. He's such a popular character.
Yeah, 13's empty. That would have been Lee Johnson, so another 20-second gap back from Stefano Bernetti.
And I remind you, Aprilia have never won a TT. Full stop, period. Could Mike Brown change that here today? There's 12, that's Spinetti. This is Jamie Coward that we're looking at now, then number 2. It's got pattern bodywork on, but that is a Kawasaki that he is riding.
Yep. Bodywork is completely open. In fact, a lot of these teams work heavily on aero because they can't squeeze too much power, more power out of these bikes. About 100 horsepower is about all you get, no matter what you do. So the easiest way to get them slipping through the air better is work on your fairings and your bodywork.
That was Joe Yeardsley away as well, number 16, a Manx graduate who is definitely up for a top 5 or 6 here today.
Yep, and a Manx man and son of a Manx winner and TT competitor, Buddy.
So then we've had our first riders off. Baz Ferber has also gone away as well. Keep an eye out for Baz, number 18.
Yep, we're looking at the Grieber Castle area.
So this Metzeler Supertwin TT race, and that's Coward already catching Paul Jordan on the road. Yep. He started at number 2, and look how quickly he's made up, 10 seconds, and he's through.
Yep, and that's down into Grieber Bridge, and he's through.
So number 2, Jamie Coward, who said earlier this week, riding this bike is like putting on an old pair of slippers. He said on the grid he's going to go like clappers, and he has. He has certainly lived to his word.
Clappers.
So Rand Gorsely then, and now Pierre-Yves Bian. Jamie Coward then will be the first to our first sector point.
Yep,
this 5 minutes from the grandstand to get there.
That's Harold's, which is a guy called Harold who owns a house there. He used to sit out watching the garden, and then into the Gorse League section. Then you're on to Ballacrane, then into the Glen Helen section.
Number 5, Hodson, Rob Hodson. P5 is his personal best so far, the rider from Wigan.
This is the Ballacrane Hotel, famous pub and landmark on the TT course. Now you turn right into the trees, and it's lefts and rights. It's a really busy little section right up until Cronky Straight is this.
That's Josh Brooks there, number 7, and just in the background, catching, looks like Davey Todd on the Dafabet Kawasaki. Yep, that's exactly who it is.
Yep.
Davey, who got straight into the 119s earlier on in qualifying week, and then behind him there is Dom Herbertson, who looks actually like he might be reeling in Davey Todd a little as well.
Exactly. There should have been 10 seconds difference, and it was less than that, I think.
Yeah, I was watching some raw pool footage down through Greba Castle, Greba Ridge, and Paul, Mr. Herbertson, Dom was absolutely flying through there compared to some of the others around him.
Yeah, Dom Herbertson, he looked really good earlier on this week.
This is the Glen Helen section. This is Sarah's Cottage, but actually the road was quite wet.
12.4 seconds up then, Jamie Coward. We knew we'd got through on Paul Jordan. Pierre Bian has moved up to second, 7.3 down on Coward.
Yeah, we can't say much until Michael Dunlop is through, though.
So we wait.
The water there again.
Yep, a little bit damp.
Rob Hodson has gone through as your new leader. Rob Hodson on the SMT bike. He's gone up half a second clear, but Michael Dunlop takes the lead to Glen Helen from the grandstand. 3.4 seconds up on Rob Hodson to the first sector. We now wait for Davey Todd and Dom Herbertson. This is Dunlop that you're looking at on screen.
Yeah, and I think if Dom Herbertson has pulled some time back on Davey Todd, which we think he has, certainly up to Ballacrane. Flags out there for the damp road at Glen Helen. I don't think they're going to trouble Michael Dunlop here.
So Josh Brooks heads through, and so does Davey Todd, and then it should be Dom Herbertson as well. Dom Herbertson there goes to second. Todd actually slides in number 5. 3.2 then the lead for Michael Dunlop on Dom Herbertson. We now wait for Peter Hickman, number 10, on the Swan Yamaha.
Yeah, Dom Herbertson only 5 seconds now behind, behind Davey Todd. Here's Jamie Coward, he's pushing on.
Hickman has slotted in at 5th, so he's not challenging Michael Dunlop. Dunlop then tops the times for the top 10 riders as they go through from the grandstand to Glen Helen. It's Dunlop from Herbertson, from Rob Hodson. Then it's Jamie Coward in 4th, Hickman 5th, Todd then in 6th ahead of Pierre-Yves Bian.
Yeah, as your leaders flash through the top and then the bottom of Bagara. This is the bottom, obviously.
You know, Dom Herbertson's another young man that likes to do a lot of the road racing all over Northern Ireland. You know, he's doing classic racing, he's doing all sorts, so he's also going to be up to speed through some kind of, not perfect conditions.
Yeah, he's the ultimate road racer, isn't he? Dom Herbertson, the rider from Hexham, race winner at Oliver's Mount, Cookstown 100, Southern 100.
Oh, he's not scared. And he started actually his career in classic bikes. His dad was a classic racer.
He looked properly focused yesterday before we thought we were going to get going. It didn't quite happen. Mike Bram, by the way, just a quick update on Mike. He's gone through in 6th. He's moved himself up ahead of Davey Todd, Pierre-Yves Bian and Joe Yeardsley, who's 9th. Mike Rutter in 10th.
7 is Josh Brooks.
Yeah, it looks like both Jordan and Brooks struggling a little bit for pace from the grandstand to Glen Helen. They're currently 11th and 12th.
Yeah, Josh Brooks not done a lot with that Yamaha R7, but he said he just wasn't confident with the handling.
I've just got to bring something up as well, because whilst we're looking at these guys, of course, making their way through to Glen Helen, and then we'll follow them to Ballaugh, there is some history being made here today, because going off at number 52 and number 53, side by side, for the first time ever, we have more than one female competitor starting a Super Twin race. 2 female competitors starting alongside each other. Good luck to Veronika Hankakiova, her first ever TT, and Maria Costello MBE making her 34th start.
Yeah, Maria Costello loves this class. Her best ever TT finish has been in this class some years ago, and she finished, I believe, 12th
in 2016.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, first time in general that we've had 2 female competitors starting a race together since 2010, and that was Maria Costello and, of course, Jenny Tinmouth.
Yep, 14, Mike Brown. Again, little guy, loves these smaller capacity bikes.
So then to Ballaugh, Glen Helen to Ballaugh, Coward is first on the road, 22.5 up now on Paul Jordan. You have to believe that something not quite right there for Paul Jordan. Northern Irishman, this is a class that he would be fancying his chances at. So, there's someone there that's being caught quite considerably on the approach to Balaf. So it's Dunlop that leads from Coward and Hodson. 7.9 up on Coward is Michael Dunlop. There is Paul Jordan, number 1.
Quick shout out to Baz Ferber, who started 18th. He's already up to 7th at Glen Helen.
Yeah, we saw he was one of the early runners, wasn't he, Mark? Actually, this week, one of the first out on his Supertwin bike and setting the paces. There is Michael Dunlop challenging Hodson on the road. So Michael Dunlop there through on Rob Hodson on the road. He is your race leader from Glen Helen to Balaf. Herbertson, though, slots into second, 6.63. That's how far back Herbertson is. It's Dunlop, Herbertson, Coward, Hodson, Todd.
You know, we're going to see Peter Hickman slowly probably get up to speed. He always takes a little bit of time to get his rhythm, and he's not, miles and miles away, especially from the podium.
He's not, but you can't afford to do that when you're racing against Michael Dunlop, can you?
As the guys mentioned earlier, Dunlop has had a couple of mechanicals whilst leading here before.
Got Herbertson, and then David Todd, and then Josh Brooks.
Yeah, they've got through on Brooks, and in turn Herbertson's got through on Davy Todd.
Yep.
And here is Peter Hickman then on the Swan Yamaha, number 10.
Yep, trying to get his fairly considerable frame tucked in behind that bodywork. They've increased the size of it, which is obviously going to be better in terms of cutting through the air than your shoulders.
This is the move then from Dunlop on Rob Hodson.
Yeah, pops out, uses a little bit of slipstream, quite effective his slipstream on these smaller powered bikes, lower power bikes.
They are going to have to be a bit careful when they approach the Ramsey hairpin area as well. There are some damp patches reported there.
Yeah, listen, all the riders will have been told, warned as it were, where the damp patches are from the marshals around the course. So they'll know which section they're coming into and where to take the care and where not.
It's quite a big battle actually going on for third early on. Jamie Coward is third, 2 tenths behind him is Peter Hickman. 7 tenths behind Hickman is Rob Hodson. Mike Brown is only 2 seconds adrift of them. And then it's Todd, Rutter, Yeardsley, Pierre-Yves Bian and Brooks.
Yeah, Yeardsley's doing well to get there in the top 10 early on.
Yeah, we will track the progress of him. Baz Ferber again, though, has just gone up ahead of both Rutter and Yeardsley. Ferber only 2 tenths of a second off Davy Todd.
Yep, man from the Welsh borders.
So this is 16. That is Yeardsley. His first official TT this week for the rider from the Isle of Man.
Yeah, no stranger to the mountain course though, because he's a Manx winner.
One of many Manxmen who I think will be making a name for themselves in the coming years.
It's a bit surprising not to see James Hind in this class.
Yeah, Jim Hind, I actually spoke about that. I think they had issues getting a bike properly together. Couldn't get a bike. But yeah, you're right, because Jim Hind, you would feel, could properly challenge here, maybe for a podium. Well, I don't doubt that Hind could be up for the podium, in tomorrow's Supersport race. But no, he'll be sitting back and watching this one.
Leader off the run, Jimmy Cowan. Flashes round.
Did you shift?
Yeah, he did. Flashes round Stella Morris. Nah, not bad at the hairpin, though.
Coward first then to Ramsey from Balaf.
Well, we hope we don't see any kind of gearbox issues there with Jamie Coward. It looked like he was kind of stuck between gears for a second.
Yeah, a little bit on the downshifts. He's a big lad with big feet.
This is Paul Jordan on the Rev to Race YFT Logistics Yamaha. Just doesn't quite get up to speed at all.
Doesn't look great.
At Dunlop. He's climbed through past, of course, Rutter and Hodson. He's now chasing down Paul Jordan on the road and is leading by 11 seconds to Jamie Coward.
Yeah.
We'll wait for 1 or 2 others to come through. Dom Herbertson was second to Balaf. Let's see if he stays in second place from Balaf to Ramsey.
Yeah, this is truly a race for the podium here. We've got all these guys just so close.
Herbertson is 9 seconds down on Michael Dunlop. 9 seconds down. Jamie Coward third, 2 seconds adrift of him. There is number 9. That's Herbertson. Davy Todd just behind him on the Dafabet Kawasaki. Todd is 6th behind Coward and Hodson. We now wait for Peter Hickman. He's gone up into 3rd. Hickman has moved up then into 3rd. He is slowly warming up. Oh, bit scrappy that from the two FHO BMW teammates. So from Balaf to Ramsey, Hickman was 1.3 seconds slower than Dunlop. So still the man to beat on the pattern is the Michael Dunlop.
Yep, the man on your screen climbing the mountain, he loves this little pattern. And if you think this is old-fashioned, it kind of is. It's a twin shock system, the rear suspension. We're more used to linkage single shock systems, really, for the last sort of 40 years. But there's nothing wrong with this bike. It works in this class. Possibly it wouldn't work so well if it was a more higher powered. But these things, they're lovely to ride about with the patterns. Never in one I'd like to.
That was Brown on the Scott Motorcycles Aprilia.
Michael Dunlop's through on Jordan quite easily.
Yeah, look at the speed difference.
That is a big difference.
That's massive.
Yep.
Colossal. So then second on the road now for Michael Dunlop. He's got the bit between his teeth. This is the move on Paul Jordan. This is like...
Paul does not look comfortable,
no,
does he?
Not at all.
Absolutely not. He's turning in a little bit early there. I'd have 2 goes at that.
We'll have to see after the first pit stop if he continues even.
Yeah,
maybe there's an issue.
He looks like he's sitting up, doesn't he?
He's not happy.
It's almost like... I think you're absolutely right, Mark. There could be an argument here for saying he might just pull this one to one side. Paul Jordan, on a bike that's competitive, can challenge for the podium. We've seen it before. He did it here in 2022. So the top 5 then, through the speed traps, Michael Dunlop, 162.2 miles per hour.
Do you reckon Michael Dunlop's saving anything right now, or is he absolutely flat stick? Because he's already got 10 seconds at this stage, and he needs to save that engine, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is the class where if you're going to knock a few revs off and try and nurse the bike, as it were, this would be the class, because these are really quite highly strung bikes. Are these the more state of tune, actually, more done to them from a standard bike than the big 240 horsepower super bikes.
The KTS Racing KUW Electrical Steadplan Group Kawasaki, there's a mouthful for you, of Jamie Cowards, heads around the bungalow and is first there and is the leader on the road, courtesy of the fact that he's the first to that marker. Hazelwood Heights there.
Remember, it's a compulsory pit stop after 1 lap, so at the end of this lap, most of the riders will have filled that 20 litre tank. They'll have used probably about 8 litres in that lap, 9 litres maybe, and they're probably only going to have to put about 6 or 7 in, not fill the tank to the top like they will with the big bike.
Looking back a little bit, hats off to Michael Roters, doing really well to come across at Ramsey, 8th, 9th place.
Just saw Paul Jordan there in the background looking over his shoulder. He's been passed by a few. He's definitely going to be pulling in, I think, at some point.
Completely.
Maybe not even by the end of this lap.
Exactly.
Oh dear. So Coward is second at the moment, 13.7 behind Michael Dunlop, with Rob Hodson third. This is from Ramsey to the bungalow.
So we got a note here from Mr. Phil here. Dunlop, quickest ever Supertwin sector from Balaf to Ramsey ever.
Wow.
So he's not
hanging about. In answer to your question, he is flat chat.
Yep.
There is Dom Herbertson. So Herbertson goes through 11.2 seconds down on Dunlop.
You know, just looking back also, Michael Sweet, nice to see him back out there. He's doing very well in the top 15.
Great to see the Irishman there. Peter Hickman has moved up to second. Slowly getting into the swing of things here then is Hickman. 10.2 down on Michael Dunlop, though he is. As we see Jamie Cowards on the approach now to Craig.
Yeah, this is going to be a lovely shot from the camera, because you've seen all the way down from Kate Scott.
That's a great shot.
The corner, and then you'll see another mile as it disappears. Look at that. Beautiful.
Brilliant. Love that camera shot.
Yep.
So Michael Dunlop is your leader. You're looking there at Jamie Coward, number 2, who's first on the road, and he will be the first to arrive in pit lane. But might not. In fact, you'll probably be able to see Michael Dunlop just behind him. In fact, here he is. So Dunlop now coming into Greg.
Rob Hudson only a couple seconds behind Coward.
Yeah, Hudson's doing a great job there on his SMT racing pattern.
Yeah, you can see Michael Dunlop using all the road at Craig Nabar, just because you've got to carry as much speed through and out of the corner with these lower power bikes.
Peter Hickman up into second place in front of Dom.
Yeah, 1 second up on Dom Herbertson.
That's loud.
Is that normal?
That's making a lot of noise.
Let's see how he fares. Through to Crocknamona already then is Jamie Coward, the first rider on the road, and he'll be followed by Michael Dunlop just on the approach from Kate's Cottage down to the Craig. That's Dom Herbertson with Davey Todd just in the background. Josh Brooks now, number 7, currently tracking outside the top 10 overall. There's Peter Hickman, who's closing on those two up ahead of him. That's Davy Todd that he's catching, in fact, on the road. It's Dunlop, Coward and Hodgson, your top three through at Cronknamona. Michael Dunlop 16 seconds clear, and they're now coming in then.
Yep, this Jimmy Coward at Governor's Bridge.
Let's pop down then to Steve Plater. They're coming in for their mandatory pit stop now, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We're stood here waiting, obviously waiting for the guys to come down. I mentioned yesterday in the chat about the pit stops, watch them trying to scrub speed off down the bottom there. Look, they've got to get the bike pulled up, get the rev limiter on, and straight into the pit lane, back on the gas. He's going to be pitting right down below us. This is Jamie Coward, obviously doing a great job so far, and probably his strongest class to a certain degree. But you can see, we've mentioned before, obviously it's just a splash and dash to a certain degree. They've only got to put the fuel in. You can see the mechanics running around just checking the bike over. No reason. Here's Michael coming in the distance. He's coming in a little bit sideways, as always. Not the smoothest, but hey, he is the fastest. There we go. He's just... That's loud. Jamie Coward's bike is really loud. I don't know whether he's got a blown exhaust or not. Michael's there, look, visor up. You can see the front of these machines today. The boys mentioned it in the comms. Hardly any flies around. No need for a visor change or new tear-offs on the visors or anything. So, massive splash of fuel on there for Michael's bike. Here we go, visor up. Doesn't even look behind him. Straight out the pit lane on the limiter. The old boy, Michael Rutter, down here below me, look, as cool and as casual as he always has been. He's going out on his parade lap later on. I'm sure he's ready for that. Oh, we've got Paul Jordan in. We'll just turn around and have a look at Paul Jordan. He's shaking his head. He's not happy at all. No, he's off the bike. That's it. Game over. He's riding the Rev to Race Yamaha R7. There's obviously a big problem with that. Shame for Paul. We'll try and get a word with him. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. No real surprise there. What a shame for the Northern Irishman. Yep. There's Davy Todd then and Peter Hickman in pit lane.
Yeah, no problem with the flies. I didn't think anybody changed the visor. These bikes are slightly slower, obviously, and there's a little bit more wind, less flies about.
121.044 from a standing start and coming into pits for Michael Dunlop.
Yeah, check out the dead heat for third place between Dominic and Jamie Coward. What is that, 1/100th of a second difference?
Yeah, that's on for the podium, isn't it? That is going to be a big battle at the moment. Herbertson then in third from Coward. We've still got Mike Brown to come through to play a part in that. Peter Hickman exits then second place at the moment, but 10.2 seconds down on Michael Dunlop. But now, James, they will be... Their tanks are full.
Tanks are full. There should not be an issue, although they said there might be a fuel issue with Peter Hickman. Be handy to look at the pit stop times because they were keen on filling it right to the top.
Something going wrong here for Josh Brooks. We saw his teammate Paul Jordan just jump off the bike a moment ago, and Paul's now down with Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Paul, obviously disappointing for you, mate. What was the problem out there?
Not sure. I left a few ponies up at the grandstand there when I was taking off. You know, she had no go in her at all. You know, yeah, it's just one of them things, isn't it? Just I know I shouldn't be getting caught big horse Lee, like especially on the first lap. And I couldn't even once he passed me, I couldn't even do nothing with it. Like so, I just said to myself, try and stick in. See, I thought maybe just Jamie's bike was that much faster, but when I was going across the mountain, Michael passed me in the mountain mile, and it was like a super bike passing me. Like so, it's just like there's no point wasting time here, like.
What are conditions, obviously it's not the wind out your sails. What's the wind like around the course and the damp patches?
Yeah, the damp patches aren't as bad as were last night. It's just like they were during practice, so we sort of had an idea where they were going to be. The wind itself's quite strong, but, at least we know it's strong. The wet patches last night, as I said, were a bit unpredictable. You didn't know where they were when you're coming on to them. So, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Hey, Paul, thanks for chatting, mate. Go and get ready for the next one. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for Paul Jordan there. I mean, he's saying basically what we saw.
Yeah, we called it. Bike looked really slow from the off, and he's dead right. He should not, in this class, be getting caught by Gorsley.
No, absolutely not. That's so early on at Gorsley. That's what, the 6th milestone, around 6-7 miles in.
Yep. So we were looking at, this is Jamie Coward as he flashes on towards, this is Gorsley section, really fast section, lovely bit of track. I'm not sure whether it would be on a superbike. You've got to judge your speed, you're going into it a lot quicker, using all the road coming out, trying to carry as much speed on that little bike out as he can.
We will see how things fare as they head to the first sector. There is your race leader, Michael Dunlop. Let's see who was quickest in the pit stops as well.
Look how tucked in he gets. The bodywork has to fit with the rider to get the best out of it, and this is a big effort they've been making in this class, because it is something, it's not a silhouette class. You can use whatever fairing you want, and generally the bigger the better. affect it as long as it gets round all the rider.
At the grandstands, you've got Rob Hodson only 1.4 seconds behind Mike Brown for a top 5, so there's a battle there.
Fair play to Mike Brown, though, and the Scott Racing Motorcycles team. They were the fastest down in pit lane, 28.2 down in the box there. Michael Dunlop just slower marginally to Peter Hickman. Hickman, their second fastest team down there. Herbertson's team, likewise. Coward lost a bit of time down in pit lane.
Number 3, Yves Vian. Frenchman, still top 10, is it?
Yep,
yeah,
just outside.
Dropped to 11th.
Joe Yeardsley at the moment, across the line at the grandstand. There is Dom Herbertson, then locked in that battle for the final podium place. He was 100th of a second up on Jamie Coward to the grandstand. Mike Brown and Rob Hodson are very much in that mix as well. Brown was 5th over the line, only 3 seconds down on Coward, as Jamie Coward then now makes it up towards Glen Helen.
Yeah. Damp patches. Again, they know this lap, they know where the damp patches are. They can cope with them a little bit better. Sit the bike up, don't open the throttle wide over the damp, and then away they go.
There's plenty of racing left for this podium to be settled. You know, the other guys are only a few seconds back, and some guys are stronger later in the lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've mentioned about reliability in the past as well in this class. It has bitten more than a few over the years.
Yeah, actually, the patterns, like that one there and what Michael Dunlop are on, they run a Kawasaki ER6 engine, and that is the oldest of the designed engines and the one that is gained more in power to get it to that over 100 brake horsepower. So technically it should be the most fragile.
Looking back a little bit to Adam McLean, he's running 14th, which is his first TT since 2018. That's a good run from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam McLean out there on the Flitwick Motorcycles Yamaha. Flitwick, sorry.
Yeah. I'm not a local, but I know it's Flitwick.
Also sponsored by SMV. Look at that big patch of...
Yeah, actually it's water bleeding out through between the 2 layers of strips of tarmac.
Well, it looks like Dom's still got his head down. He had some nice lean angle there coming out of Glen Helen.
Yeah, well, he's got up into 3rd, so he stays in 3rd. In fact, he's made up some good time there. As we mentioned, Coward losing a bit of time in pit lane. So Dunlop 10.7 up on Peter Hickman. There wasn't a lot to split those guys, actually, from the grandstand to Glen Helen.
Looks like Davey Todd's pretty steady. You know, it doesn't look like he's trying to really
I thought that.
change the
No
world
lean
today.
angle whatsoever over them damp patches. Sat it up.
Why should he? You know,
yeah, but almost like Superbike. Almost like you do with a Superbike. Get the cornering done when it's dry, sit the bike up and blast it over with less lean in it.
He might be really thinking about the future
Maybe.
the next couple of days. That's really where he wants to be.
Dunlop through at the bottom of Bagara. And now here is Hodson on the road. That's the top of Bagara.
On the SMT bike. Standish Metal Treatment, it stands for. Been in the paddock a long, long time, as Robin Croft.
He's 1.8 down on Coward. So that battle for 3rd is Herbertson now. Brown is 4th. Brown made up that. So the work they did down in pit lane really has paid off for the Irishman at the moment. He moves ahead of Jamie Coward on the road.
You know, if that bike stays reliable, he could really, be in for a shot for the podium here.
2 podiums Aprilia have had at the TT in the past. Lee Johnston, the most recent, 2nd place in 2022 in this race. The last one before that, John McGuinness in 1997 on the 250. He was 3rd in the lightweight race.
That's a cool shot.
Whoa. Yep, that's the bottom of Bagara. This is the top of Bagara.
Davey Todd, Alphabet Kawasaki. So there was just half a second between Dunlop and Hickman from the grandstand to Glen Helen, but Hickman has got 10.7 seconds to find on Michael Dunlop. At present, as it stands, Michael Dunlop on lap 2 of 3. You're looking at him here from the helicopter. So far, so good in the pursuit of his 27th and record-breaking TT victory. There's Joe Yeardsley.
Julian Trummer's putting in a good ride there on Wavy Dave Houston's Obsession Engineering Aprilia, number 22. He's running in top 15.
Wavy Dave Houston, yeah. Good rider in his time, was Dave.
He's missing it. You know, this is the first one he's missed in a few years.
Yep.
Dave.
Yeah, Obsession Engineering, and of course they've got that Rapid sponsorship on the side of the bike. Dave Houston very much a part of Franco Bourne's rise.
Exactly.
And Franco's here actually. Saw him yesterday, so he's probably cheering on Julian.
Tom Wheaton, I believe, is riding Dave's BMW Superstock bike as well.
He is. Tom Whedon, in fact, it's going to be worth keeping an eye on Tom, because this is looking like one of his best chances of getting his best ever finishes. Spoke to his dad yesterday, and Tom loves the bike in the Supertwin, so we'll keep track on Whedon.
Cool.
There is Hodson, number 5 on the SMT pattern.
Yeah, that's Balacry into the quarry bench section, or the wildlife park it's called as well, because the big car park you see is to a kind of wildlife park. Michael Dunlop, he's going to have to start thinking about maybe knocking a few revs off and nursing the bike a little bit. This is a class where you've got to do that.
Yeah, well, he's not listening so far, James. No. 13 seconds up on Hickman from Glen Helen to Balaf, so he's made another 3 seconds up on Hickman.
In that sector.
Yeah.
But he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's who he is. He's going to be getting plenty signals as well.
Hickman's got a great reference here up ahead of him on the road. That's Dom Herbertson.
Yep.
So Hickman at the moment is second, and Herbertson, in fact, is third himself. You can't get many better references. In fact, the next best reference for Hickman would be Dunlop himself.
Yep.
Herbertson there third at present, ahead of Coward, who's 5 seconds down on Dom. Rob Hodson, in turn, is 2 seconds down on Coward.
Yeah, this is David Todd over Balacry jump and flashing off towards Quarry Bends and the Wildlife Park.
I'm not going to lie, I expected Todd to be a little bit further up the sharper end.
Yeah, I think he just hasn't done enough on that bike. He's used to riding the big bikes, the super bike and the super stock, and it's a little bit different of a technique. You need to run a bit more speed through the corners with these, because if you scrub speed off and square the corner off, you're not going to get the speed back straight away, because these things with 100 horsepower will not accelerate like a bike with 240 horsepower.
Mike Brown's doing a sensational job. He's closed up another bit there on Dom Herbertson in the battle for third, number 14. Remember, he's out there on that Aprilia. The only Aprilia, in fact, inside the top 10 at the moment. He's out there on those treaded tyres as well. He's running very well, the Irishman.
Yep. Great choice as well. The treaded tyres, you get enough grip for these things. They've obviously got less power, a little bit lighter, although there is a minimum weight limit of 150, so you can't just keep getting rid of weight and sawing things off the bike.
Michael Brown was just flying over Balacry, the jump there.
Yeah, now tucked in.
Very nice, very nice air. It's still in the full bubble.
Yeah.
Beyond, as we look here at Peter Hickman on the road, he's closing in on Dom Herbertson. That's what the battle you're looking for. That battle for third. There's 7 seconds covering Herbertson, Brown, Coward, and Hodson.
Yep. Hickman set off a full 10 seconds behind Dom Herbertson, and he's right with him now. What is he, half a second back?
Yeah, and so soon to go through on Herbertson. At the moment, then, these guys will be receiving info on their pit board. Both of them will be on the podium at present, but this might be good for Herbertson once Hickman gets through.
Yes, bit of slipstream, bit of tuition from Hickman on lines.
Be great for Dom Herbertson. There'd be some tears, I can tell you, of joy if he manages to get his first ever TT podium after all the work and effort and dreaming that he's done of being on that podium.
Yeah, not only that, he's still working for a living, chopping trees down.
I shook the man's hand yesterday for the first time, and man, it was like a brick. Just the strength in his hands. What does he call it? A tree doctor?
A tree surgeon.
Tree surgeon.
But good. I like the tree doctor bit. Yeah, I like that.
I tell you what, Dom Herbertson is anything but a doctor. I can assure you.
Even if you're a tree,
you wouldn't want him working on you. Oh, maybe not.
Here we go.
Yeah, trying to get through there is
Peter Hickman on Herbertson. And this might be a problem for Hickman here, because he's not a slow rider. He's going to get through going up into Crookshanks.
He's not a slow rider to get through. This is not easy pickings for Peter Hickman.
You have to think the best way. They've got this next one's called White Gates, then Stella Maris. Run it through Stella Maris and get up the inside into Ramsey Airpin. See where he goes.
And the gap is increasing as well, because as they head through now, let's see if Hickman's going to have a look up the inside into the hairpin. This would be a short circuit move. He does. He goes through. Herbertson knew he was there. Nice and easy.
Probably lost a second though, I think.
Well, he's already lost a bit more time. The gap then from Dunlop to Hickman is 14 seconds. Herbertson at the moment is still third, but Mike Brown has been catching him. Here's Pierre-Yves Bien, who goes to 8th from Balaf to Ramsey. Credit to Mike Rutter, who's 7th. So,
yeah, but then you've got Mike Brown still to come through.
Rutter's only 2.8 seconds down on Davy Todd, though. That's a great job from Mike.
Here is Davy Todd.
Out front, you got Michael Dunlop has just beat the best sector time for Super Twins from Balaf to Ramsey, so he's on a tear.
Yeah, and although it was a standing start from the pits, with the pit lane speed limit involved to get out the pits, he's going to be a flying end of lap.
Here is Mike Brown. Mike Brown then just through there. Again, marginally quicker than Dom Herbertson. Not by a lot. 2.4 down he is now on Herbertson. Coward is then only 2.9 down on Mike Brown. And Rob Hodson is only 3.4 down on Jamie Coward. The fastest ever lap we've seen in Super Twins, by the way, the lap record is Michael Dunlop. Way back in 2018, is that, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, 122.750.
Yep.
Now, the only chance you feel for that to be beaten would be on the last lap.
Completely. Lower fuel load, which makes a difference on these bikes, and your only actual flying lap.
Another shout out, looking back a little bit, to AJ Venter from South Africa. He's put himself well into the top 15 at the moment.
Yeah, it's from Soweto, apparently. Never been to Soweto?
I've been only to Johannesburg.
Yeah, me too.
Michael Dunlop, your race leader, but this is the man who's trying to hunt that rider down, that close that gap down. 14 seconds in it.
Just watch him. He'll be trying to tuck every bit of his considerable frame. He's a big, tall lad. He's Peter, we know that. And he'll be trying to get everything tucked in.
That beautiful bodywork that he's got. I think it's off a Moto 2 bike, is it?
Yeah, it is Moto 2 with the big air scoop at the front. Yep.
Michael Rutter managed a 1:16 on that last lap when he came through. We're on lap 2 of 3.
And we talk about aero on the bigger bikes in terms of wings to keep the front end down or the back end up or whatever. Aero on these bikes are simply about slipping through the air more efficiently.
Number 2 then on the Steadplan Group Kawasaki KTS Racing rider Jamie Coward heads through to the bungalow in pursuit of another podium. He's third at the TT, and there's MD.
There's MD, and he's not too far behind, is he?
Michael Dunlop then. Again, nice little carrot up ahead of him. Literally, orange bike. That's Jamie Coward.
40 seconds to start distance, and it's not that.
Joe Yeardsley. Just up ahead of Joe. That's Barry Ferber. Baz Ferber gone through one. Joe Yeardsley.
That was close.
That was close.
Just speaking a little bit about the aero and the slipstream, looking at the speed traps, Michael Dunlop, was ahead at 162 mile an hour and some change. Dominique second, Rob Hodson third, and Adam McLean fourth with 158.46 miles an hour through Solby.
Where's Peter Hickman in
Peter
there?
is P6 at 156.5.
Losing a lot then.
Just coming up behind Mike Rutter on the road is Peter Hickman then. Let's see what the gap is between Dunlop and Hickman. It's 13.5. It increases more. Increases again. A little cheeky look over
that wasn't
from
even
Hickman.
a little. That was a big stare.
Peter Hickman then, a long look at Rutter, and Dom Herbertson now coming through as well.
He's got to get past Michael Rutter.
He won't want to lose sight of Hickman. That will help drag him on in the hunt for third place outright. This is Michael Dunlop.
Yep, and this is Keppelgate. Lovely right, left, and then down towards Kate's Cottage. You see the bay there and Douglas in the distance.
One of the cool things about this class is these bikes sound a little bit like a muscle car, like an American muscle car or P51 Mustang.
You reckon? If you've got a really bad muscle car, I think, yeah.
Thanks.
They're all these bikes are parallel twins. So all straight up and down parallel twins.
Interrupt the American-English relations that are out here in the comment box here. We just saw then through to the Craig, Jamie Coward being caught by Dunlop on the road. Remember, they'll come through. There'll be a flyby to begin their third and final lap next time around. At the moment, Michael Dunlop leads. He's 13.5 seconds ahead of this man on screen. Number 10 on the Swan Yamaha, Peter Hickman. Now coming through Keppelgate himself is Hickman.
Look at that, every inch of the road being used by all the riders there. Dominic Herbertson and Michael Rutter, because you need to do with these things. Carry that speed through the corner.
Coward is up to Crunknamona. Michael Dunlop will flash through there himself now. 33.4 up on Jamie Coward. And Dunlop will be setting off on his final lap, and there will just be 37.73 miles between him and a 27th TT. Let's get down then, ready for the flyby. Are you ready, Steve? Down to you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Just waiting here, obviously, watching the guys on the screen. The helicopter's just coming above in the sky there, so we know they're on the way. Obviously, Michael's got Coward in his sights coming down the road, so we're just waiting on Jamie Cameron to fly through here first. Michael's got a good cushion, and do you know what? Like James said in the comms, you would think he'd be rolling it off, but Michael doesn't do things like that. There's more flipping chance of seeing ex-Grand Prix rider Jeremy McWilliams on the starters list. Here we go. Not quite as frightening as Superbikes, luckily. Here we go, here's the main man himself. Believe me, that kid is not rolling off. Back to you, Steve.
Certainly isn't. 118.6, remember that was from pit lane then, and he is your leader at the moment, 33.1 ahead of Jamie Coward.
Well, actually that lap included the pit stop.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I think we should start calling Steve Plater Hollywood with that $1 million smile. I think he's selling like toothpaste or something.
You know, that might stick.
You can't see him lighting the whole room up when he enters, can you?
Across the line there then for Rob Hodgson.
I think he's right though, Mr. Plater. I don't think Michael Dunlop is doing anything other than going for the lap record, which is going to happen on this lap if it's going to happen.
It is, yeah. We will check then the sectors. We've got all of the Supertwin TT lap record splits right in front of us. Here comes Peter Hickman there. What has he got to do? 12 seconds. He's... You know what? That is just a little that they've found there in the closing stages. It's all on then. 12 seconds between Dunlop and Hickman. In the battle for third at the moment, Herbertson has that one from Coward, but we await the arrival there of Mike Brown, the Irishman, who had been closing on Dom Herbertson. That was before Herbertson was getting a bit of a tow from Hickman, although, yeah, he's just there in the background.
Roads at, this is Braddon Bridge, look really dry now.
You're speaking of Dunlop and just not being able to hold off a little bit. He famously said a couple of years ago, if you want me to ride your bike, you got to build it to last, because he's not going to do anything but wring its neck.
Yeah, that's it. That's what he's doing. And I meant Quarter Bridge, obviously not Braddon Bridge. Sorry.
Yeah, they're on the approach. That's
this is Braddon Bridge.
This is Braddon Bridge here. Nice viewpoint for a nice little grandstand just on the exit here as well.
Down patches.
So many.
No.
There's Mike Brown through the grandstands, fourth place.
Yeah, well, there you go. It just goes to show how helpful that tow from Hickman was for Dom Herbertson.
Yep.
So Mike Brown then, this is going to be close for the podium at present. Herbertson 5.2 up on Brown, and Coward only 1.2 down on Mike Brown himself. Then it's Hodgson and Davey Todd 7th. Mike Rutter just 2.7 down. Davey.
Why is he looking down? Mike Brown was looking down at his Aprilia there. I wonder why.
Hopefully all okay for the Scott Racing Motorcycles rider.
The Aprilia is by far the bike you have to do least work on. It comes almost ready to race, and the others really don't. The Yamaha R7 needs a lot of work. The Kawasaki needs a lot more work than anything else to get into this kind of trim.
Well, one lap to go. Dom's in a good position. If he could just put in a real clean lap, we're going to see Mr. Herbertson on the podium.
As we've seen so many times in the Isle of Man TT over the years, it's Dunlop versus Hickman. These guys have owned the solos. Only Dean Harrison and Lee Johnston in recent years have been able to nudge their noses in front on the few occasions. Who wins it here today? It was 12 seconds at the grandstand. There's Coward and there's Dunlop in the background.
You know, we talk about the big bikes being brutal physically to ride. That's because you're going a lot quicker, especially on the straights. These things no less difficult. You've got to get tucked in. You get a really stiff neck. You're sat in the same position for a long time. So it's not easy to ride these things.
It's very true. It actually takes a lot of physical effort to stay that tucked for
Correct.
that long.
Yeah.
You don't even slow down that much on these things. You don't even hardly brake. You just keep it pinned and turn them.
That's Dom Herbertson tucked right up behind Peter Hickman. Is there an issue here with Hickman's machine, or is that just Dom Herbertson
clinging on?
Clinging on. We'll find out shortly when we get to the first sector from the grandstand to Glen Helen. The gap over the line was 12 seconds. We mentioned at the start, sometimes we've had reliability issues in the past in Super Twins. It can happen. It can rear its ugly head.
It's definitely not over.
There is Hickman then.
Well, I don't know.
With Herbertson just behind.
Back up now.
I think it doesn't look that slow, does it? Hickman's bike. Herbertson in the slipstream.
Well, Dom's really going to take advantage of this situation. It's not very often that you get to be behind Peter Hickman at the TT in position for a podium. He's going to be fighting tooth and nail to finish this as well as he can.
The danger is sometimes you cling on to somebody you think is going to drag you along, and you don't really know how quick you're going. You don't get a feeling for it, and the guy in front slows down and then slows you down. It's a weird thing round here.
So up to Glen Helen, Jamie Coward first, and through goes Michael Dunlop, 4:36.206. It's just outside the lap record split from the grandstand to Glen Helen, but not far off it. We're talking 2 seconds, 2.1 to be precise, off the all-time record split. 122.750 is the lap. The gap at the grandstand was 12 seconds between Michael Dunlop and Peter Hickman. Has Hickman been able to close that down? Oh, there is.
There is.
You were right, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Brown is encountering issues on his Aprilia.
Not again.
He was third, of course, at the Northwest a few weeks ago, but it's looking pretty bad here.
The reason for looking down is if he's not got an exact problem like a gear lever issue, brake pedal problem, you're looking at to see if anything coming out the bottom.
Yeah,
if
maybe
anything,
if his foot slipped off the peg. Or...
Yeah, if your foot slips off the peg, you think oil.
There's Hickman, and here's Herbertson. Hickman, 17.3 down. Michael Dunlop has eaten into that lead even more. Sorry, he's stretched that lead even more. 17.3 seconds the gap now between Michael Dunlop and Peter Hickman. And you would say, guys, at this stage, Michael Dunlop well on course here, potentially for that 27th victory.
Hickman settling?
When has Hickman ever settled?
No. It's notable to say, to mention that Jamie Coward has just not been able to really put in the kind of speeds that we were expecting.
Yep, you're right.
Although, I mean, it has to be said, Herbertson has profited, hasn't he, from being behind Peter Hickman for
I believe
a
so.
lap and a bit.
Yep.
Jamie Coward then at the moment is 8.9 down on Dom Herbertson. That's the battle for third as you look here at Josh Brooks. Harolds and then Gorsely for Brooks.
It doesn't look that fast, does it, through there?
No. Mr. Rudder's still doing a good, solid
Michael
job out there.
Doing what he does.
At 52 years old.
Yeah, 52 years old and only 4.4 seconds off Davey Todd, who was the hot topic coming into this one. Michael Dunlop then is through on Jamie Coward on the road. He's first on the road. He's first in the race on this final lap of the Metzeler Supertwin TT race. Hickman has got quite a bit to pull back here, 17.3, but there's still a fair lap here to go.
Can you see anything?
Brown's still going for now, but you can see maybe just...
No smoke.
Yeah, there's no smoke on his exhaust. You know, sometimes you have little niggling issues that you can survive through. You know, it's not necessarily terminal just because somebody's looking around. It's actually could just be a courtesy to make sure.
Yeah, you do want to make sure no fluids are coming out of your bike, especially oil, because you don't want it on your own tyre or on the street for anybody else.
He has dropped a place, as you would expect. He's dropped down to 5th now, 2.3 behind Jamie Coward as the Irish rider. Here is Davey Todd just heading through to Glen Helen. So, Dunlop then up to Balaf and Jamie Coward
staying with
getting
it.
the claws in.
Yep.
7:54.8. Goodness me, that's only 4/10 off the record split there from Glen Helen to Balaf. I rather fancy that would probably be the fastest ever sector from Glen Helen to Balaf because he's cut that gap again. So excellent work here from Dunlop. He is on the cusp of lap record pace here as the number 6.
Joe Yertley still putting in a great ride in the top 10, number 16.
Yeah, Michael Sweeney just outside the top 10 as well as AJ Venter. Brooks was 14th. Tom Weedon 15th. We mentioned we'd keep track on him. That was over the line at the grandstand. Then Trummer, Karinga, Gareth Arnold, Mike Russell and Brian McCormack was 20th ahead of Mikhail de Koppel, who was 21st, the Czech rider, and then 2 Frenchmen, Monod and Goetze. I can tell you that 40th and 41st, separated by just 9.5 seconds over the line, Veronica Hankakiova and Maria Costello.
They're close. They're less than a second at Ramsey.
Is Jamie Coward going to have a go at repassing Michael Dunlop here? You're staying with him. Definitely close enough in the slipstream down Sulby Straight.
20 seconds the gap between Dunlop and Hickman at Balaf. Michael Dunlop doing the business here.
So Rob Hodson retired at the bottom of Bray Hill, so we're seeing a little bit of attrition potentially coming, rearing its ugly head.
That's a shame for Rob. Of course, he was fighting for those podiums. Here is Peter Hickman and Dom Herbertson.
Check out Dom. He might have to just pass Peter if he's holding him up.
Yeah, this the Quarry Bend section leads on to the Sulby Straight, and I reckon Dom is going to be have a go at passing him under slipstream if he wants to do.
Of the two bikes, that pattern has the legs.
You would think.
This is Michael Rutter, number 4. He'll be heading off for his legacy lap a little later on. His daughters, as we mentioned earlier, joined in, flew in here yesterday.
From France?
Yeah.
Live in France.
Juliet and Cecilia. So it's going to be a special moment for Michael. That's later on today. That's scheduled to be after the Super Stock race. Right now, though, we have to concentrate on this one. We're on the final lap of the Metzeler Super Twin TT race. And Michael Dunlop, who equalled Uncle Joey here earlier in the week, set now potentially to win number 27. There's Pierre Bian and Mike Brown.
Didn't look like there's too big of a problem with Brown at the moment.
No, in terms of speed of machine.
He's 4.5 down is Brown on Jamie Coward. That's the battle for 4th. In terms of 3rd, Dom Herbertson at the moment, 9.4 seconds up on Jamie Coward. As I mentioned before, there'll be tears of joy for Dunlop if he picks up number 27. And the jubilation for Dom Herbertson. At the moment, he is on the cusp of his first ever Isle of Man TT podium.
It'd be interesting to see if we get another call from Aunt Linda Dunlop in the podium, which she called when he did 26. If he can get 27, if he's on the phone, just might be hearing from Linda again.
Yeah, that's his mum, first person on the phone down in Parc Ferme. There was so much emotion, and he's been brilliant from start to this moment. At the moment, Michael Dunlop, he's been on it. He's just been a cut above the rest. But at the moment, since he's got past Jamie Coward, Coward has done very well to hang on to him. 11:23.2, that's under lap record pace for Michael Dunlop, which means that Jamie Coward's not hanging about either.
The customary look round for Dunlop at the hairpin, but I think you know, you better hear that twin behind you.
Jamie Coward himself is well set for his fastest ever lap on a Super Twin around here. I might just doff his cap to Michael Dunlop at the end of this one. As things stand then, Dunlop is under lap record pace.
Michael Dunlop and Jamie Coward climbing the mountain up towards the waterworks, and then that'll lead on to Tower Bends and then the Gooseneck. Then you're properly in the open and on the hill then.
Speaking of Coward, it's the best ever sector time for Coward from Bluff to Ramsey now.
Yeah, nice.
Needed a little bit of help.
No surprise, is it? He's flying, Jamie Coward. His fastest ever lap around here on the Super Twin at 122.5. He might just beat that as things stand. Let's see what the gap is then between first and second. There is Hickman. 21.7 seconds in it. The gap has increased slightly again, although Hickman has, just for the time being, given himself a bit of breathing space with Herbertson up behind. By the way, Dom Herbertson is well on course to absolutely obliterate his best ever lap around here on a Super Twin.
He talks a lot when he's not on the podium. This is going to be good.
Yeah, that'll be about 5 minutes.
Maybe he'll be speechless for a change.
I doubt that. As things stand, Grace is in for about a 5-minute chat. But hey, it would be amazing to see Herbertson pick up his first ever podium. But it's not done yet. And the reason I say that is because Jamie Coward is only 6.5 seconds down on Herbertson in that fight for third.
And he's getting a toe.
He's getting the toe.
Herbertson can't slack off here.
That one is going to go all the way to the line.
And Herbertson's lost the toe a little bit from Peter Hickman.
He has. That could be crucial. Is Coward going to pick up his third Super Twin podium?
The battle for the podium have been aided along by a toe in both situations.
Yep. There's Davey Todd. Doesn't look like there's a podium on the cards in this one. He's 6th. He's behind Mike Brown, but just ahead of Mike Rutter. There is Brown, 5th at the moment from Balaf to Ramsey.
I think the fairy's a little bit loose. That's what I think.
Shame.
I didn't see any oil though. Nothing shiny. His boot wasn't shiny. So the side of his motor wasn't shiny.
On a safety, no, yeah.
This is Peter Hickman on the Swan Yamaha, currently in P2. It's looking like being 29 of the last 30 races that have been won by either Hickman, Dunlop or Dean Harrison. Is he going to cut that gap down and put any late pressure on Dunlop here on this final lap of the Super Twin race?
This is the last lap, so we're all crossing our fingers for Michael to bring it all the way home. He's just got less than a half of a lap, of course.
Yep. All the talk, of course, since last year has been about equaling Uncle Joey's. He's been equal just for a couple of days. Is he about to stand alone in the record books as the most successful Isle of Man TT rider ever. We await Michael Dunlop and Jamie Coward to get to the bungalow. Here they are, and he's still with him. Let's check the sector times as well as they flash through then. The bungalow. Dunlop there, 14:57.6. That's just outside the Supertwin TT lap record.
Which means Jamie Coward's just outside it as well.
And again, this is all good for Coward's hunt and pursuit of a podium. This is going to be crucial when Hickman and Herbertson come through from Ramsey to the bungalow to see what that gap is. I rather fancy that's going to go all the way to the grandstand and the checkered flag. Just a couple of sectors then to go.
Jamie Coward could even be, he could even be getting a draft, a little bit of a pull down the mountain here.
Absolutely.
Really close.
But does he want to pass him? Probably not.
No, but at least he's getting a tow. Like an actual tow. Mile-an-hour tow.
Yeah.
Coward, he's getting the slipstream here.
Yeah,
is he going to pass Michael Dunlop? No, he is lifting. Not passing Dunlop here on this final lap. He knows the situation. He knows the score. Here comes Peter Hickman then from Ramsey to Bungalow. Is he going to put any late pressure on? It doesn't look like it. It's 21.6 seconds the difference. Dom Herbertson,
6 seconds.
Yeah, 12.5 back on Hickman. Just under 6 seconds clear of Jamie Coward in the fight for third.
Yeah, and Coward's not going to be able to do anything. He ain't got enough time.
He would have to pass Michael, actually.
Yeah, and go.
To Keppelgate then, and look at their fans there clapping as Michael Dunlop comes through. They know the score. There's just Cronk Nimona in terms of the sectors, and then the run down to the grandstand. Here we are on the approach to Craig. Listen to the fans here again. You could see Coward had an opportunity to go through, but backs out.
Exactly. He had a little bit of a look, but he just didn't want to, did he?
Around the Craig then. Watch the fans on the left. He's getting the info there on the pit board as well. Plus 21. And does he back off now by seeing that?
These fans are witnessing history just like we are if he can get it across the line.
I think at this point, Michael will be thinking he may be going for a lap record. He won't know the exact sector times.
He's not far off it. It's pretty much on the money for a 1:22.750. He was just outside the lap record split. To the bungalow. We'll check them through to Cronk Nimona shortly. Here is Peter Hickman now then. Up to Keppel Gates, and then he'll make his approach through past Kate's Cottage and down towards the Craig. There is Dom Herbertson, perhaps on the brink of his first ever podium. Dunlop then is through at Cronk Nimona. 17:27.3 on this lap. He's just again outside Supertwin TT lap record split, but who cares about lap records? This is all about history that's surely going to be made here. Around the Craig there for Peter Hickman. Dom Herbertson following, and a good wave of the arms there for Dom as well as he goes
and
past.
a P3.
Emotional scenes. The grandstand awaits now as history surely going to be made. Michael Dunlop with Jamie Coward just tucked in behind him. He was in tears the other day when he made it 26 and equalled Uncle Joey's record. And he's just got to come through Governor's Dip and onto Glen Crutchery Road. And the marshals are loving it. And he is going to stand alone. Michael Dunlop is going to make history. He is the greatest TT rider of all time. Dunlop wins the Mensela Supertwin TT race. And it's 27 for Mickey D.
Amazing.
What a story for Michael Dunlop. Jamie Coward there, 121.6. It was 122.4 for Dunlop over the line. But he won't care one bit about that. We now wait for second and third place, because coming in now to the final few corners are Peter Hickman. And then we wait to see who's going to take third. There's an anxious wait for Jamie Coward. Will it be him? Has he done enough in the last couple of sectors? Or will it be Dom Herbertson?
Little pat for the pattern.
Michael will know he won this one.
Yep.
No questioning.
Exactly.
The bike didn't miss a bit.
There you go.
Dunlop down into Parc Ferme. We wait now at the grandstand for second and third place. On the Swan Yamaha, Peter Hickman will be flashing through any time now as you look at the celebration scenes. There's Peter Hickman. He comes over the line to take second in the Super Twins. And now here comes Dom Herbertson. He does take third. word. Dom Herbertson has finally got himself an Isle of Man TT podium.
Fantastic.
Yep. Wow.
If only Chrissy were here to see this.
Yeah.
Chrissy Roos.
Well, you've got to say, yeah, and there will be a lot of dedication there to Chrissy Rouse, of course, his friend and Chasing the Racing podcast. We'll talk more about Dom in a moment, but what can you say about this guy? Let's not forget, James, that were it not for all of the dramas and Helmet Gate and Visor Gate a couple of days ago, this would have been 3. He has been the man of the moment this week.
Man of the week, and I don't think anybody, if the bike kept going, going to beat him there at all.
Let's soak in all of this atmosphere with Rick and Steve down in Parc Ferme.
There we have it, Steve. History at the Isle of Man TT. He was the red-hot favourite beginning at the start of this race, and in the end it was a procession. But what a moment for the Isle of Man TT.
Hey, impressive, you know, and he didn't ease off at all. You know, he obviously had the bit between his teeth, very comfy. That's pretty impressive. You know, I think that's 15 years to win 27 TTs. How good's that?
We don't often see too much emotion from Michael. He doesn't tend to give too much away, but just in the past few moments, he's embraced the people who've travelled over to support him, embraced his team in a way that we don't often see from Michael. It clearly does mean quite a bit.
Oh, no, of course, the whole team here, and a big pat on the back to his Italian bosses as well that are running the pattern for him. And, you know, he's in a relaxed fashion, mate. He's only going to get stronger now.
Well, he is. We may talk about the rest of the race week in just a moment. But, you know, Steve, you've been around motorcycle racing for a long, long time. And often when people say, you know, did you ever see Joey's record being beaten? The popular answer is to say, well, no, I never saw. But was there a time a few years ago when we looked at Michael's career and the way it's progressing that there was a growing consensus that this kid's going to do it?
Hey, definitely. You know, as soon as he started heading towards 20, he's still a young lad. You know, there's plenty more left in the tank, and you know how hungry he is and how hard he tries. So there's no telling how many more this week, let alone in the future.
Yeah, well, he still has, 5 races left over the next few days. He's won 2 out of his opening 3 so far. Obviously, this is already an historic week for Michael and the TT itself, but Michael could be walking out of this TT with 4, maybe even 5 victories.
He's competitive in every class. We've seen that, and with any manufacturer. There's another race this afternoon, yeah. We could see 28.
Is Michael's strength in that he doesn't have any weaknesses now? He's at the top of his game seemingly in just about every class.
No, of course, you know, there's always weaknesses. We saw that in the Superbike race. It doesn't have to be down to the rider. It can be anything. That is the quality part of the Isle of Man TT races. There are so many different parts that can go wrong, and without anybody to blame in particular.
Runner-up was Peter Hickman. It was Dunlop Hickman 1-2. We often see that so many times, whether it's in that order, the reversed order as well. Peter will be disappointed he doesn't come here to compete for second place, of course. What do you think he'll take away from this?
I think Peter will be quite happy, in all fairness. You know, he's been doing an awful lot of development work on his Yamaha R7 through the PHR side of his team. And you know what? A podium's good, especially here at the TT.
Well, let's hear from him then. Grace is with Peter Hickman.
Second place, Peter Hickman, congratulations. You mentioned before the race that you're going to see how this bike goes around the TT course, so what's the verdict after that one?
You know, the little Swan racing Yamaha is going really well, you know, to be honest. I'm quite happy with it. We don't quite have enough straight line speed, but handling-wise, he just handles so good. Yeah, I'm happy to be on the podium, of course. Great to be in the race where Michael, you know, gets 27 wins. What an unbelievable achievement. And managed to actually congratulate him this time as well. So, yeah, fantastic to be involved in that part of history. We just didn't have enough today to be able to actually challenge him, but we'll have another go. You know, we've got another race on Friday, and we'll see if we can make some tweaks, see if we can find a few more miles per hour, and who knows.
An incredible podium. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Well, a man who's just as jubilant as Michael Dunlop in the wins enclosure behind us is Dominic Herbertson. What a fantastic moment, Steve. His first ever podium at the TT. What did you make of it?
Do you know what? You think I've got a big smile. Just turn around and look at that man. He's shining. His teeth are shining. What an incredible achievement it really is. You know, obviously the patterns are very strong. He's got himself with a great team this year with the Burroughs team. They've done a fantastic job and brought the best out of Dom as well. So he'll be celebrating tonight without doubt.
So Grace is actually with the man of the moment, then Michael Dunlop. Let's hear from Michael.
Michael, your 27th TT win as you become the rider that has the most TT wins ever. Is this an incredible feeling for you?
Yeah, it was tough, you know.
I don't like to be sort of cocky, but we should have been 28 today, and as a sheer disappointment from the last day, and I want to make up for it today. And we knew we had an issue in the first night, and the boys have worked really, really, really hard. And I must say to them, thanks very much for the boys to work all night. Just we had issues in the first practice, first lap, and they fixed them, and the bike's running well. We've had a few little issues through the race that we'll fix for Friday, but just to get that overall thing was what I was looking for. And yeah, I can't say much more else. It's took a bit of the dampener off Sunday, but not all of it.
Well, your lead was extending throughout that race. Did you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I felt good. Just the boys said these boys are coming, and I says, well, it's time I better be moving then. So I just put a couple of seconds. Just felt good. I felt good to the bike. Just took me a minute or two to relax, calm down, keep at it, and go. And yeah, I felt bike felt good. Bike. The boys have worked really. It was very windy up there, and I'm not the smallest people in the world, so I was just trying to squeeze in as much as I could, and I could feel Jamie at me, and I was trying. I could feel him putting more stress on the bike, but no, can't say more than that. It's a nice place to be.
Is it going to be a special feeling for you as you stand on that top step for your 27th TT win?
Yeah, look, it's obviously, you know, as I said, I've never, I'll never be. I'll never be modelled against Joey, and I don't expect to be, and I don't want to be. Joey was a special talent. My record, well, somebody will get it someday, but I don't care, because at the end of the day, everybody's inspirement in life was to be a Joey Dunlop around the Isle of Man, and to have another win. For me, that's the tip of the top. You know what I mean? It's not that many better. It's a personal thing there now, and that I wanted to break. It's one of them records that's everybody's been breaking records. I've broke a lot of records through my lifetime, but that's one that I've always wanted.
The greatest of all time, Michael Dunlop. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Interesting, Michael saying one day somebody will beat his record. I think we could be waiting a few years for that to happen. Steve, we were just talking about Dominic Herbertson, though. Undeniably one of the most popular guys all around the TT, and a huge cheer as he made his way into the winners' enclosure. His third place finish will be as popular as anything we see at the TT this year, I think.
Hey, listen, he'll be just as popular to a certain degree, especially with his own family and friends in the team. Like we said with the Burrs team, you know, they're also Dom's cuddling everybody in the winners' enclosure area, and he'll be celebrating deep into the night. But yeah, it's great for him, and there's obviously more to come from that man yet.
Well, let's hear from Dominic then. He's with Grace now.
Dom Herbertson, your first Isle of Man TT podium. How are you feeling right now? I mean, that was well deserved. You did fight off a few riders for that place there.
I have no idea. Honestly, I'm standing here now waiting for this to be a horrible nightmare. You know, when they lead you into a beautiful dream, and then it's just like, oh, actually, you're fourth here. But you know, it's a surreal moment. Not bad for a fat lumberjack. So it's back on the trees Monday, but no, fantastic. I don't know what, honestly, if people, the small amount of people that know me on the surf know I've got a lot of rubbish that comes out my mouth normally, and this is the first I've been truly stumped. But you know, there's a lot of people. Well, I take that back. There's been a handful of people in this world that have believed I could do it, and I never thought I could do it. But without a good team like the Burrows RK Racing and IFS Graham Hanna, they're actually been silly enough or brave enough to go, there's me Pat and Dominic, see what you're made of, and you know, getting to follow the world's fastest road racer, and to be on a podium when Michael Dunlop has created history, is the most successful. Don't get me wrong, I wish I broke down, but these things happen in racing, don't they? But, you know, it was a good, clean race, and class. But I don't know, I feel like you should be helping me here, Grace. Like, you know, feeding it in. It's thank you, everyone.
I want you to say what you want to say, but also this is one of the first times we've seen you speechless, Dom. I think, how long will this take to sink in?
I think come Monday back on the Northumberland Estates, I think reality will kick in very quickly, so around about then. But you know, it's mad. I've lost two of my good friends. James Cowton's been in this podium, and now I know how James has felt, and Chrissy Rouse, God love him, knew I could do it, and I never believed him, but he now owes me a pint the next time I see him. So, no, it's a very special moment.
A special podium for you, Dom. Go and enjoy it up there.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks very much, Grace. He can't believe it, bless him, Dom Herbertson. And that is as little as you will hear from Dom Herbertson ever.
Yeah.
I can assure you.
That was lovely, actually.
Lovely tribute to the late James Captain, of course, Chrissy Rouse as well. You know, if you're going to get beaten by anyone, get beaten by Michael Dunlop on his 27th TT win and Peter Hickman. The two greatest at the moment at their game.
Well, you did right. He'll have a picture. Whatever happens to Dom Herbertson now, we think he's got more left, but he's going to have a picture on the podium with two absolute legends.
And on the 27th win of Michael Dunlop, he'll always be involved on that podium.
Bit special,
Can't forget him all. We should just point out as well that Dom Herbertson's been getting quicker and quicker on the big bikes as well. There's more to come from Dom on the big bike.
I think so. Yeah,
absolutely. Amazing. Amazing story, the Isle of Man TT 2024 so far. We've had a few patchy days weather-wise, but the stories just never stop.
You know, with Superstock coming up too, man, that's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, can't wait. I cannot wait. I think Super Sport, we kick things off with Michael getting that number 26 and the emotions from it. The Crow Boys also making history, winning in the sidecars, and then a super bike race on Sunday that we're never likely to forget. It'll be talked about for decades to come, and then a Super Twins race there. From the moment that number 6 Patton wheeled up and he got the tap on the shoulder, it never missed a beat, and neither did Michael. Incredible scenes, quick to play down, comparisons to Uncle Joey, and you can't really compare the two. You don't need to compare the two. Michael Dunlop is his own man, and as Grace just mentioned there, now officially recorded as the greatest of all time.
Yeah, Michael Dunlop was keen to say that. He said that, look, it's not about it being in competition with my uncle. It's a different era, it's a different thing.
Yeah, for years and years you've heard Michael say that he felt like he needed to be the one to keep the Dunlop name relevant in the sport.
For me,
he's doing it.
I raced with Joey on short circuits and in the same race round here a couple of times, and it would have been odd for anybody else to have done that.
You have to wonder, don't you? And I know we keep on mentioning this, but I think it's worth mentioning because we did lose 2 years of the TT to COVID, unfortunately. I mean, how many would Michael Dunlop be on now if we didn't have that? And quite frankly, Peter Hickman himself would be closing down on a 26.
Yeah, the stat was that before Joey was an age when he won his first TT, Michael had already won 11. And I think that Joey won 16 after the age that Michael is now, so you can make your own judgment.
We've talked quite a bit about the attrition of these kinds of bikes, and also all the other classes. If it weren't for some mechanical failures, Michael would have been probably over 30 wins by now if it wasn't let down by mechanical event.
Yeah, but I can tell you that back in the old days, every single class had a big attrition rate, and Joey would have probably won a few more as well, and other people.
Good point.
Yeah.
Let's get the results then in as it stands. Of course, still a few Super Twin riders yet to cross the line here at the grandstand. Dunlop wins it and makes it number 27 on his pattern, ahead of Peter Hickman, with Dominic Herbertson picking up his first ever TT podium. Jamie Coward just missing out, 5.4 down on Dom. Mike Brown, despite some troubles it looked like on the final lap, the Irishman takes 5th place ahead of Davey Todd. Mike Rutter, on a famous day for him, gets 7th. That's tremendous for Michael. Joe Yeardsley, the Maxman, his first ever TT year, was 8th ahead of AJ Venter. As it stands, the South African inside the top 10 ahead of Pierre Bian. Josh Brooks, it looks like the Rev to Race team are going to be looking into things at the end of this one. Miko Sweeney there. Michael finishes in 12th ahead of Italian Francesco Caringa. Then it's Julian Trummer, the Austrian. Tom Whedon, 15th. And a brilliant lap time as well. That's one of the best performances you're ever likely to see from Tom. I believe his best TT result. Gareth Arnold was 16th ahead of Mike Russell, with Brian McCormack 18th, and then De Koppel as well. Down to Grace.
Yeah, Steve and I are just walking to the podium as team managers, families, everyone walks by celebrating. I mean, this is a pretty historic and special podium, this, Steve.
It's incredible, it really is. You know, it's obviously history's been made once again on the Isle of Man TT. It's fabulous. I'm just going to try and grab hold of some of the team just to get a quick word. You know, there's a few guys coming.
We're having a look at their reaction.
By Michael's side all the time. Boys, come over here a second, please. Obviously, it's a massive achievement, not just for Michael, but for you as well.
Yeah, look, it's a big moment for Michael, and to be honest, like, he's kept all of us lads around us for years, and we're all friends. And look, he had a big moment the other day, but he stuck with us, and delighted for him today. and all the Dunlop family.
No, perfect. Hey, thanks, buddy. We'll have a pint with you later.
Michael looks surprised then that some of the team were getting on camera and not him.
Listen tomorrow again, so there won't be.
Hey, no, fair play. I know. Hey, I don't believe you. You'll have a cheeky pint later. Hey, Grace, that's pretty special, hey.
It really is. And you may have heard in Michael's interview there that he sort of touched on, it should have been the 28th win today. So do you think that's still a bit of a sore subject, what happened with his visor in the Superbike race?
Obviously, he's had many races that have been lost down to mechanical issues or problems or various things. But do you know what? That's part of the Alaman TT. That's what happens in a lot of the races here. It happened to Joey all those years ago. So, you know, and it can happen to anybody all week. But, yeah, of course, he came out with a bit between his teeth and was desperate to get number 27. But, hey, here's another race left today, yeah?
It is. Let's go back up to the commentary box where we can watch the podium.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to mention the word visors for a couple of days just yet. That's clearly still on his mind there, but he's got the job done, of course, and he wins it here from Peter Hickman on your left and Dom Herbertson there. He was being congratulated a moment ago by Paul Phillips, by Chris Kinley. He'll be conducting the ceremony on the podium down there for Manx Radio. Keith Moore was down there to greet him as well.
Yeah, enjoyed catching up with Keith, front runner and lap record holder in his day.
Quick tip to the hat to Veronica from Brno, Czech Republic, and Maria Costello. They've finished only 3.6 seconds apart after 3 long laps, and well done to both of them.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Who finished in front?
Veronica
got her.
On her first ever TT.
Good girl.
So, well done. Yeah, some great results there, and a lot of personal bests, as you would expect to see. Dom Herbertson then making his way up. The 33-year-olds from the northeast, Hexham. 45th TT start for Dom, and this one is going to take a while to sink in. His first ever podium. Look,
living the dream.
Yeah, the Joker is back. Attaboy.
And this is, James, moments you're never going to forget.
Yeah, and that, you always look at who your first podium was with. I've asked John McGuinness that, and he had, I think he had Joy on his first ever podium, and you know, Dom's never going to forget this one, no matter what happens now in his career.
He's going to be showing that photo to every pint, every bar, you know, to get a pint.
Yeah.
He'll be living off
quite
right for a while.
His second podium of this year's TT. Not quite the win to add to his Superbike Sunday victory the other day. 29 podiums now for Hickman. But here is the man himself, standing alone on top of the history book. 6:27 TT wins for Michael Dunlop, the 35-year-old. In his 83rd start, it's now 41 TT podiums. And the magic number 27. And they've got to do it all again later as well. Super stock race coming up here later on at the TT. We remain dry. We're looking forward to that one. That will be fascinating. He lifts the Supertwin trophy.
He's done it. It's happened.
27 for Magic Michael Dunlop. Michael Dunlop, what a moment. He really is a unique sports figure, is Michael. Making his debut, of course, back in 2007. His first ever TT win in 2009. He was labelled as a bit loose, a bit wild out on the road, but he's matured into something else. And right now he looks happy, he looks comfortable.
All he was young.
Yeah, absolutely spot on the money. It's bubbly time then for the top three, and still dominating the solos, these two men. Michael Dunlop and Peter Hickman. Can anyone wrestle them from the top when we go Superstock racing later on this afternoon? And is that the first of many, we hope anyway, for Dom Herbertson on the podium? Let's get ourselves back to Matt in the studio where they can analyse that one. It's 27 for Michael Dunlop, Matt.
Yeah, another historic moment for Michael Dunlop, and a memorable one as well for Dom Herbertson and his family and his friends, and I'm sure all the listeners to the Chasing the Racing podcast and everybody here in the paddock's just great to see. Really special moment for him. We've got Davey Todd with us in the studio. Davey, thanks for joining us. I know you've got a quick changeover, haven't you, before you have to get ready for the stocker, so we won't keep you for long. But sixth place in that race, first proper run out on the Dafabet Kawasaki. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. Good to get a spin round on the Supertwin bike. Something I'm probably least used to, having only done it once before, and that didn't go too well, just breaking down a lot. But nice to get a few laps on it and spin around, see Dom and Hickey out there on track, and the boys are going fast, to be fair, but there's a lot of bike difference out there on track at the minute.
Yeah, you could see that from some of the shots, actually, to be fair. But in terms of some useful laps for the big bike race this afternoon, I don't think you were ever expecting to go out and win this one, were you? But to get some laps out there in these conditions, useful?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have a look around, get a little bit of a feel for the grip levels out there, ready for Superstock this afternoon. Top man. Thank you, David. We'll let you go. I know you need to get back, so if you just unclip that little microphone there for us, and we'll let you get off. Tom, Cam, I think for the neutrals, watch your head on the lights there, David. I think for the neutrals, everybody, there's something here for everybody, really. You know, Michael becoming the most successful TT rider of all time, pushed all the way once again by Hickey, and a photo for the mantelpiece for Dom Herbertson that's going to be there forever.
Yeah, look, heading into this race, I think we all knew Michael was the man to beat. I mean, he's a current record holder, course record holder in this class. He was fastest during qualifying, and he's on a mission. So he was going to be tough to beat, but there's always question over reliability, which we discussed before the race. I mean, he led it from start to finish. It was a brilliant display and just showed how good he is. And as you were saying before, Tom, we've got to remember where this man plied his trade. You know, he came from the Irish roads. He grew up on 125, 250 GP bikes. So that was a brilliant comment before, just saying, you know, if anyone knows how to ride through a corner holding the throttle open.
Schooled in that era of, you know, little bikes, small CC, corner speed is everything, entry and exit, and you can see that from the word go with Michael. His elbows were nearly touching the tank, you know, down Bray Hill. He was just completely tucked in and finding every last bit out of it. Never stopped pushing all the way up to Ramsey on the last lap. You know, it was 2 seconds under the lap record. But then coming over the mountain, probably just a bit of maturity and just, right, I don't need a lap record, I need a race win, I need to get that 27th. It's just brilliant to see history made again. You know, he's now the winningest rider of all time.
Yeah, he sure is. And he was determined as well. Cameron, it was interesting when he was talking to Grace there, and he said that it sort of makes up a little bit for the Superbike race on Sunday, but not all of it. What do you think it's going to take to make up for it all?
Probably to finish this TT and let the dust settle for the year, to be honest. I mean, I think the way he's going, there might be another couple of wins coming up, and if that's the case, that'll probably ease the pain. But, you know, we keep going on how hard you work for a TT finish, especially those 6-lappers. There's only 2 6-lap TT races each year, so they are that little bit more special, the big bike races as such. So, yeah, you work tough for them.
Okay, well, we have got one of those big bike races coming up for you here. Next, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be back very shortly with the Superstock race. Davey's run off to get his leathers changed and get a little bit of fluids on board, and all the other riders will be doing the same now as we prepare for 3 laps from 2 p.m. local time, so less than an hour until that one. A little bit of time for you to grab some lunch, grab a drink, and rejoin us here in the fan zone. We'll be back as well tomorrow with the Sidecar TT and Supersport TT race 2, 3 laps in each of those categories from 11:45. Friday we pick up with the original schedule, Superstock and Super Twins. They'll be back on track in the afternoon, and of course it's the big one on Saturday, the Milwaukee Senior TT. For our viewers in the UK, you can catch highlights every night from 9 p.m. on ITV4. So with that, thanks very much for joining us. An historic day here. Once again, 27 wins now for Michael Dunlop. Can he make it 28 in the stock race later on this afternoon? We look forward to finding out together. Join us for that. Bye for now.